The Lester's Grill, Carolina Hotel. Jim's lunch for hot dogs, we'll eat our fill. Sam and Max shoe shine, I'll pick up the bill. California sandwich shop, we'll find our thrill. Down on Hamburger Square, Hamburger Square. Some of my favorite people down there. Down on Hamburger Square, Hamburger Square. Sam and Max and little Lester's down there. Got something can't be taken away. Power of love, baby, what I say. Max Corner Grill got the mystery mounds. It's Blumenthal's and you know you're downtown. Down on Hamburger Square, Hamburger Square. Some of my favorite people down there. Down on Hamburger Square, Hamburger Square. Sam and Max and little Esther's down there.
My program today is William Davis. He is an author, he is a teacher, he is a father. He is the Emeritus Poet Laureate of Hillsborough, 2022 Art Prize Contemporary Black Artist Award recipient, Coast to Coast Live Mixtape winner, and 4-time published author, host, and father. I already said that. Thank you so much for being on our program.
Oh yeah, of course, man. I appreciate your time. It was fun meeting you at the first Friday last month, and we got a chance to chop it up and write a poem for you, so it's an honor to be here.
That was so freaking impactful. Like, I don't know, I think that's a, I don't want to say common, but that's something that's been done, but that's pretty, I think that's a bold thing to be able to do, to get a word and write it on the spot. Can you tell me about that and where that came from?
Oh yeah, so I appreciate you saying that. That was impactful. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was such a genuine interaction. You were just walking through, hey, let me write a poem for you, and you didn't know what was going to happen. But what this works is I have these pieces of paper here that I create, and someone simply writes a word down on a piece of paper, and I write a poem for them right on the spot. And I really enjoy it, the sense of making poetry accessible, and how I have marketed it is it's simply your poem, your topic, and if somebody would like to tip me for it, that'd be great. And if not, it's okay, I'm still going to give you a poem because it's making it accessible. And what I've come to realize from doing this for the past 3.5 years is that people really don't read poetry. So to give someone a poem customized for them, it changes their outlook on what a poem is, and then you're giving someone a personal gift.
Wow. I think your ability to read people was, that shone through, because, and the word I gave you and like what you did with it, you like knew somehow exactly what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And what was it? It had to do with, we could replay the video here, that's what we'll do.
My friend, you gave me the word exertion. I said tired is like all of our energy being empty, and after still going some more, I wonder, a thought-filled thinking, can a man really rest? Is the reward in earning peace, or is each minute spent meant to work and mend what broke? And tired is like giving all you have for them. Thank you, man.
I had to give you a good word. I had to think it through.
Yeah, that was fun to write.
But that it was just amazing how you read through exactly what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And I don't know if I had, if it just showed within me, or if I think that's just your ability, and that's a true gift.
That's one thing I talk to students about as I'm doing poetry workshop, is the sense of trying your best to be intuitive. And if that's not something that you feel like you can tap in, the ability to say a kind word is so important nowadays. And I always tell people, like, the reason I am a spoken word poet or orator or a writer or an author, whatever label you want to give, is because I'm pretty sure, like, one of my ancestors was the person that someone would come to during hard times. Someone was trying to hunt a boar and chased it for 2 weeks. And I was like, man, I'm tired of chasing this boar. I'm pretty sure one of my ancestors probably gave him like a little funny story or just made him feel better, a little inspirational to understand, yes, you were chasing the boar for 3 weeks, but look how much stronger your calves have gotten. Like, that's just the way that my brain thinks. And I appreciate being able to tap into that, not only from a conversational standpoint, but from my love of poetry. And to blend that together in such a simplistic way on a 4x6 card. I have people ask me quite often, do you ever get frustrated your paper's not long enough? And I was like, no, that's the trick for me, to see how impactful I can be on such a short piece of paper. Like, that's the fun part for me. That's what makes it art, because I could clearly get an 8x5x11 and really type a long, lengthy poem. But it's like, no, how can I make this so impactful with just a couple stanzas?
Tell me about like the first couple times you decided to do like this on the spot poetry. I mean, that must be, like I said, it's bold. I mean, to be able to smack that out, you know, like on the spot like that, that's tricky.
As you mentioned in my introduction, I am an author of quite a few books. In my second book, Fallen Apples, I had a chance to speak at Tulane University and be featured at a couple poetry events there in New Orleans. And that was just phenomenal for me. Everybody's always a fan of New Orleans just based upon the stories you hear. It was my first time going there. And after my event, I was on Bourbon Street, and there was a gentleman who attended my event and purchased a couple of my books. And that guy was typing poems on a typewriter on Bourbon Street and had a nice little line. And I was so intrigued. Just one of those moments, always, speaking analogies, excuse me, but just like a middle school kid who's playing soccer every day at recess. Like, doesn't matter if he's smelly, if his clothes are dirty, doesn't matter. That kid's gonna play soccer. Like, that's how I felt at that moment. Like, oh, this is something I'm supposed to be doing. And I purchased a typewriter shortly after that. I believe that was in 2018, but it didn't work, and I didn't have the patience at that time to fix it. But during COVID, that's when I fixed it. After COVID, I believe it was 2001, 2002, there was a festival in Durham, the Beats and Bars Festival, hosted by Crystal and a good friend of mine, Bishop Omega, a phenomenal guy and an extraordinary comedian, but they were hosting the event. And I just set up. I didn't pay a vendor fee. I didn't ask, because I didn't even have that in my mind of this is a merchant table. I just wanted to type poems. And I was a little nervous at first, but I had already been noticed in the area for performing spoken word poetry. So it wasn't too outlandish, and I had already had 2 books out. So again, it wasn't far-fetched me presenting poetry in a different way. And the first time I sat down, I typed a poem for a good friend of mine, Debris to Wild Perfection, in passing. As soon as I sat down, she was just simply walking past me with a group of her friends, and she asked me what I was doing, and I wrote a poem for her. And I just wrote a poem for quite a few of her friends, and the line just built up. So as soon as I sat down, I just did not stop typing poems for like an hour. And it was just based upon where I sat up at. I seen a friend. She had multiple people with her. As they're waiting for poems, it drew like a crowd, like, hey, what is he doing over here? And it just didn't stop, man. It just lit a fire up under me so much, not from a financial standpoint, because it does say my poem, your topic, your price, so someone can pay whatever they'd like, but just from the accessibility standpoint. And every poem that I type, I read it out loud. So there's been times where I've typed poems for multiple hours at a time, and I'm sitting there reading every single one, and I really just enjoy it, man.
Wow. And you, as we mentioned, we were talking before the program, you try and travel to 10 universities a year doing this?
Yep, I really try my best. That's a priority for me, and that was inspired by a poet that I haven't had a chance to meet yet, by the name of Asia Sampson. I'm not exactly sure where he lives, but he's a phenomenal guy, award-winning artist. But he made a post a couple years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, that he's able to provide for his family based upon his primary customer speaking at colleges. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to make that my primary customer, but I will take note of that. So I try my best to perform at Duke. I have a really good relationship with them during their holiday events, during a lot of their events, festivals for their students, for community engagement. There's quite often they'll have me come and set a typewriter up to type poems for the whole holiday event. And I'll also set up about 10 typewriters for guests to enjoy, because parties are fun, especially when you're an adult, but it's almost like a social gathering. So to have something to chat about and gather around, it just makes the party a little bit more lively. And so I've been able to present my work not only from a personal standpoint of me giving poems away, but just making the fun typewriters accessible to people.
The typewriter is, I mean, we have all this like fancy technology today where you got AI and you got, you know, all these things that you could voice to text nowadays. What was there something about the typewriter you're just like, ooh, that's classic?
Oh man, you remember that movie, Misery? Kathy Bates?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
James Caan.
Yep, where the gentleman was a writer,
Oh,
and that was his thing. He wrote on the typewriter, and as you're older, you don't really realize where these connections come from until you just pay attention to yourself. Like everybody that's watching this video, man, pay attention to yourself. Some of the things that you like as an adult, like really tap into your memory and realize that you probably liked that as a kid. I was watching Dusk Till Dawn, for example. It's such an old Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, man.
And Stevie Ray Vaughan's Mary Had a Little Lamb is one of the songs in that movie. And I am such a big fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I used to watch that movie as a kid, way too young to watch that movie.
Oh, my dad and I watched it. I vividly remember that. Like, what? It was just these guys, and then all of a sudden, like, what?
Like, why is it? It's such a far-fetched movie, right?
It's a real twist.
Such a classic, but
Yeah.
it's a classic movie. But as I was sitting there watching it, I introduced my 15-year-old to that movie, and I'm like, that's why I like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I used to watch this movie probably a good 2 times a month when I was a kid, and this is so funny to me. And I also love that type of music, but that was probably the connection with that. So in regards to the typewriter, like I always wanted a typewriter from watching Misery. And she threw the typewriter at him, and Buddy was a profound writer, and he wrote on the typewriter. So for me, knowing I was a writer, like I'm eventually going to have a typewriter. Not necessarily to write poetry for folks, but it just fits my aesthetic. And when I seen the guy typing poems, it just, again, it made that connection. Certain things just stick, and they're supposed to.
Yeah, it's funny how your memory or your interest just pulls you in a certain direction.
Oh yeah, very passionately driven. I'm very passionately driven, especially in regards to what I'm good at. And I think that that's what a lot of people should do. That's why Steph Curry shoots threes. Like he's not trying to dunk. In times where he did try to dunk, he embarrassed himself. And dunking is a part of basketball. And no shy on Steph, because I'm a huge fan of Steph if he ever watches this, but it's just the truth. Like when he tried to dunk, he put himself in a position to slip on the floor, and so I'm not training for that. And I always knew I was a writer, so let me put myself in position to train for that. I'm not trying my best to be a ballerina, so I'm not going to put myself in a position to be entertained by that. Like let me focus on writing, let me surround myself with writers, because it's only going to make my writing stronger.
That's really cool. You've dove into this one thing, and you have like, okay, I'm going to master this. I remember what you said in one of your videos. You said that no wasn't an option.
No.
I really like that. It was during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I'm going to dive into this, and no is not an option.
No, it's not. And I feel like I just had a documentary filmed by I Travel for Culture. Shout out to Gibbs. And that was an amazing documentary you did on me. But I positioned myself to be Nike with poetry, not from a capitalistic standpoint, but from a profitable business professionalism standpoint. And if the two are synonymous, then that's okay if somebody wants to judge me as a capitalist. But yes, I'm going to write a poem, and I'm going to try my best to get paid for it. I'm going to sell my books, and I'm going to try my best to get paid for those. I'm going to speak out of school. I have necklaces with typewriter font letters on them that I sell. Also have earrings that I sell. I have t-shirts with my logos on them. I have stamps with my logos on them. I have so many different things. So when I'm setting up, it's not just a poet, and it makes it better. Like the conversations that I have from so many people to see that I'm respecting a literary format in such a broad fashion, it makes the conversation last longer, and it makes someone question, how can my passion also grow?
Have you ever been? Well, I remember what you said. I remember in your you had one where you with string quartet.
Oh yeah,
When
did you watch that video?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
It's so amazing. I love it so much. Shout out to Earspace.
And you did. We could talk about that for a second, but I remember you talked about desire and passion, and because we were talking about that's just what kind of influenced me just now was how your desire and your passion, your influence will drive you, and I thought that was the way you worded that was like fascinating.
Man, I not to circle around on speaking to the youth, but I do that so often. And I always ask kids, like, y'all watch Zack and Cody or iCarly or whatever is popular on
Yeah.
TV right now. But that's literally a person reading a line and they tapped into that professionalism. You don't know if they stubbed their toe, if they have a belly ache, if they have a headache, but you are watching this from an entertainment standpoint as a child, like, oh, ha, ha, ha. You even tell your friends about it, but you don't know what's going on in that actor's mind, even if it's just a kid. So I realized that at such a very young age. Like, yes, there's going to be some times where my community or my family is not going to go in my favor. But man, let's tap in, let's lock in, let's really focus. So, and it's fun to have that sense of determination that one person would say, or another person would say an obsessive personality. So it's like you pick and choose the vocabulary word that you like to use, but I feel like it works in my favor.
And you mean like saying the thing, whatever it is you want to say, your speech, your poem, whatever, without repercussion. You're talking about, I'm going to say it, and if you don't like it, you can unfollow me.
You can unfollow me. You can unfollow me because that's the artistic standpoint. That's the Basquiat, that's the Obama speech, that's the Picasso, that's the Mozart, that's the J. Ivy, like that's the Nina Simone. Like that is the position of this is my stance, this is my art, this is how I feel, and I understand if you don't like it, but you may like the next one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. So tell me about where did you start getting into poetry? Was it at an early age?
Oh yes, I've always been a poet. I say that all the time. I'm almost considering getting that tattooed on me somewhere because I always have been a poet. In the 6th grade is when I can remember getting introduced to Langston Hughes, Mother to Son, and it just spoke to me like a kid watching Michael Jordan dunk from the free throw line and they go home and try to dunk on their basketball rim on their door. Like that's kind of how it hit me, just really breaking it down. And I had a teacher that just respected my enjoyment of it and really broke it down and annotated the poem. And the poem is still impactful to this day. On my living room wall, I have the poem monogrammed. So when you walk in, you can see it. Like that's how much the poem has hit me. But it's the sense of crying out. Like life is not a crystal stair. It's not going to be easy. It's had attacks. It's had boards torn up. It's had so many things, but you have to keep going. And there's landings that you have to put yourself in position to understand that it's hard for everyone because it's not a crystal stair. And how dare you even consider giving up when I'm still going? I'm still putting myself in position to try. And I really enjoyed that based upon the pivotal moment in my life in the 6th grade. That's when my mother went to prison. So it's the profoundness of a mother speaking to a son, and then I was missing my mother at that time. So it just made that connection. Like man, my mom, she just got locked up, and how dare it line up so perfectly? Like that's when I'm learning about poetry. Like that could have easily been a time that we're learning about something different from a literature standpoint, but it just worked out so seamlessly. So as I'm sitting here working on my own emotions, dealing with the fact that I'm not going to see my mom, here we are diving into poetry in this outlet of expression. And one of the first poems we got introduced to was Mother to Son. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. Like this is how I feel. Like I definitely feel like this is not easy, but clearly someone felt this 50, 60 years ago. So who am I to put myself in position to even feel any worry or doubt when this person wrote this 50, 60 years ago and they got through it? Like I say that to kids all the time. Like, how dare you put yourself in position to feel doubtful or inadequate or have anxiety or depression when you were a baby who was learning how to walk and you bumped your head on the dining room table? Like, that happened. You don't remember it happened, but you got up, cried, and you kept walking. So just because you're feeling a certain way because your homework isn't as good or your grades isn't as good or your parents isn't like whatever, but you've been through the worry before. And that's kind of what that poem, like, really put that value, that moral, that ethic in my heart. Like, man, it's okay. Man, it is okay. And it just, man, like, the poems just kept coming out, man. Just like, it sparked a whole wildflower of, oh no, let's just get these poems out.
That's crazy that, like, in 6th grade, that's what your level of understanding at that time, that's pretty interesting that you were like, yeah, somebody else went through this, so I can go through this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were saying?
And also, it is okay from my parents to be inadequate. Mm-hmm. It's okay. That's not my story. And the more I dwell on this, it's going to become my story. Mm-hmm. And I've seen so many folks be complaining about what's going on around them, and then it starts to affect them. Mm-hmm. And I've been such an optimistic person my whole life. Like, you can really ask a lot of my friends who've known me since the 6th or 7th or 8th grade. Like, I've always been that overachiever, dreamer, viewpoint of this isn't the moment. And so, and again, I attribute that to poetry, and I attribute that to basketball. Like, I've been a basketball player my whole life, and I've always admired a Derrick Rose, per se, being injured after you're on top, but coming back to play again. It's like, it's okay to be down. Like, anybody that's watching this, man, say it with me. It's okay to be down. But what's going to happen after that? Like, what are you going to do? What is the lesson? What puts you down? Like, and poetry really just helped me put those synopses together to have a good perspective on life, I should say.
That's amazing. I was going to say something right there. Yeah, and I think you were talking about parents. Like, there's one thing I was thinking recently. I think we forget, and I think even as adults we forget that, like, they were human trying to raise us, and like, we have so many things, like, and I did, like, you know, you hold on to this resentment or whatever because they didn't do this or they didn't do that. Like, if they were doing what, you know, for the most part, I should say, I put a caveat in there, but for the most part, I think parents do what they think is right at the time.
And they're living their life. Like, that's, even if it's not the best, to not sit there and define anybody's parents as living a horrific life. I'm not saying that, but they're living their life, joy, decision, intrusive thought, devil on one side, angel on the other side. They are also dealing with that thought, and we are just there. Not to sit there and say that we're a side piece as children because we need, but we're there. We're there why they have a bad day at work, why they have a friend that's asking them to come and drink, why they have a person trying to holler at them and take them home. Like, all of that is happening every day. And I'm saying that as a parent myself. Like, there are a lot of distractions that can happen from me leaving here to going home to see my, to take care of my son after I leave here. So many distractions. But it's the part that really gives you an understanding of the respectful and responsible. Like, you're a good dad, man. As soon as I walked in your office, it was so fun to see what represents you. Like, that was great to see, to sit there and soak in there before we came in here, because it gives you a viewpoint on when you're about to make a bad decision. Look what you look at all day. Like, you think about it a little bit more. And so I give myself an understanding on, like, the parents who put their kids' drawings on the refrigerator and they have all the awards. Like, good job, because you see where that's your focus is. That's where your focus is. Like, this is what I'm doing it for. And not to sit there and say my parents didn't position my success to be out loud on refrigerators or whatnot, but that's not what their focus was. And it's okay, because it put me in a position to find a passion, to have such an optimistic life, outlook on life, that I can try my best to encourage other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there to, and I love photos. I love the ability that we have, like you could take. You said it beforehand. You said take pictures, record, right? And it's so cool because the ability that we have today, they didn't have like 100 years ago, right? You took like one picture.
A month, man.
Yeah,
maybe.
or you had to pay, it was a big deal. Like, I remember seeing photos of my grandma and like her family, and it was like a big deal to go out and like everybody dressed up and like took a photo together, and like it was a big deal to do that. Now you can take 100 and like delete the ones that are blurry or that you don't like. But anyway,
I hope you remake those pictures too. My son, he's at NC State. Shout out to Josiah Davis. I love you so much. I'm really proud of you. He just took his final exams yesterday. But some of the pictures that we took when he was 6 months old to a year, like we remade before he went to NC State, and it's pictures of him on my shoulder, or me just holding him, or him sitting on my lap, and with matching Pistons jerseys. So I ordered the jerseys again, and it's just so fun to not only to see the picture, but just the moment taking the picture. For me to tell my son, like, come here, sit on my lap like you did when you were a baby, and we were both just laughing so hard that can't even take the picture because we're laughing so hard. But it's just like, yeah, man, I hope that like this can be a tradition that you do with your kid. Like maybe when you have a little person, maybe y'all should get matching Piston jerseys and like make that some type of generational thing, because like that makes the value so much better. Like that makes the value so much better.
What's so funny is like we're watching hockey and stuff, and like we're watching the Hurricanes, and now they're in the playoff. And it's funny because they're playing the Devils, and I'm from New Jersey, so I'm kind of an outlier in my household right now. my wife and both our families, we all grew up in Jersey.
Oh wow!
So it's really funny. But
good,
yeah,
good games there too.
Oh man, and so like I was like, we were talking about season tickets and all this stuff, and I was like, no, I'm gonna wait, till my little boy is old enough to go and like interpret and appreciate the game and all that stuff, because it'll be that much better.
It's a memory.
Yeah, so like you can watch it like through him. You know what I mean? I think that's the cool part. Is like you can watch the Pistons or whatever on whatever, have the jersey and do the whole thing and get whatever it is you're gonna get and be able to enjoy it through him. And I think it's really cool to like see them appreciate that.
It's crazy because you never know what's going to build this core memory in our children. And I have such a naive outlook on kids, and not to sound cynical, but I think the only reason to be a good parent is to give a person good memories. Like, I really think that. Like, it doesn't matter what type of access or what type of foundation you set for a person. I honestly have come to the point where I don't even think that even matters. If I was a millionaire and was giving my kids all the things that they want, they can still grow up to be horrible people. But if they're going to remember what that $1 million did, like, that's a memory that they're going to have as they're growing up, from taking them to the parks or SeaWorld or whatever. But if I was broke and poor and we still went to the park and fed the ducks and rode bikes and rode skateboards, like cheap activities, like that's going to be their memory that they reflect on with their friends. Because people ask that question, how was your childhood? What type of things did you and your dad do when you were growing up? People ask that all the time. So it gives you a chance to, my dad used to take me to go play basketball all the time. Or we used to cook this big Christmas breakfast all the time. Or my dad used to cut my hair every Friday, and like just simple stuff like that. But it's just a memory. It's not defining. It's not defining at all. And I'm not a political person at all, so I don't want anybody to hear this and think that I am. But one of my favorite things that Trump ever said, and I'm not a political person, is when he mentioned his father only giving him $1 million when he first became a president. He was like, oh, my dad only gave me $1 million. And so many people were like laughing and calling him unappreciative or whatnot. But no, that's true for him. In his community, in his circle, when he was talking about what he received from graduating college, his friends were probably like, oh, my dad gave me 25% stake in this business, or my dad did this. But in his mind, he only got $1 million because that's his memory. It doesn't matter that it was $1 million. Because he's told the world, man, my dad, I came up from humble beginnings. My dad only gave me $1 million after I graduated from college. And in his community, that wasn't nothing. And it kind of gave me an understanding of how I speak to my kids. And I'm trying my best. And I'm not saying I'm trying my best to manipulate you to think that this is my best. No, but for you to know, like, I'm trying my best. And if there's more, you better speak up. because this is your childhood, my mans. This is your childhood, and I'm trying my best to give you some good memories. And you still might grow up to be a mean person to your girlfriend, or a horrible coworker, or rude to people at Food Lion, or might not leave a good tip. Like, I say stuff like this to my kids. It doesn't matter that I leave a good tip. You might not grow up and leave a good tip. Like, just because I'm giving you this example, like, you still have to have discernment, you know? Which makes it scary and hard, bro. Like, it makes this parenting so annoying.
Oof. Because now they have to grow up and you have to watch them like, oh, now you have to, like, they're making their own decisions
Yeah.
now. Not based upon, not, you know, it might be totally different than what you even, how you even raised them, or how you even, you know, what you had in mind, what you were doing. And they might just, like you said, the devil and the angel. And oof, you have that every day, every moment you have to make that decision, right?
Oh, yes.
And so now you have to be like, oof, you know, now you have to think about that as they make their decisions.
I'm really enjoying this conversation so much. I just was listening to a parenting little podcast and on Monday, and the gentleman was reflecting on fathers that are great fathers. Like, they're providers, nurturers, like they're teaching lessons. Come here, let me show you how to do this, like guiding, all the things. But are we raising wolves, being so involved? And it really hit me hard. Like, am I raising a person that is able to make their own decisions in life and not just be led when I'm speaking up for you quite often? Like, I'm buying your groceries, I'm cooking the food, I'm even sometimes straightening out your closet because it's not necessarily as organized as it should be. But am I raising a wolf with that, or am I raising a sheep? And it was so annoying. It hit me so hard, my friend, because I'm like, gosh, I'm such a provider. Like, I pride myself on being a provider where you don't even have to ask me what shoes you want to buy. You're gonna come home from school and I went to Foot Locker for you. But am I doing my son a disservice by just not giving him the $100 to go to Foot Locker himself to tell the person, this is my size? No, actually I need a 10.5 because this doesn't fit like I thought it would fit. Like, I took that moment all away. I took all of that away from just trying to provide. And when I heard it, I'm like,
Or are you talking about the process?
Yes.
Like the process of everything, and like, okay, here's how you do this.
Yes.
Here's how, you know.
If I'm doing it all the time.
And letting go at a certain point too, and letting them kind of
Yep.
figure it out a little bit.
You need some shoes, son? I'm gonna take you to South Point. Here's the money. Text me when I need to pull up. Like, I don't need to go get it while you're at school, so you can come home and it's there. Because I took away the social interaction, and you turn into a man, and you're getting your change back, and all the things. And after I heard it, I'm like, man, you need to step your game up, William. Like, yes, you are a provider, but you also have young men, and you need to make sure you are putting them in position not to just rely on you. Like, man, after I heard that, it was so annoying too. Like, gosh.
You know what's funny is the world has gotten so small, but they always say, like, it takes a village. It's funny how we could expand and, like, take these things from other people that have lived them and probably made these mistakes and have had to learn from them, right? It's interesting. I was listening to something, and it was like most kids today they have like a social anxiety, like so much that they have like a fear by like the time they're a teenager or something, that they cannot order like from the menu. Like, they can't order from a waiter, hey, I would like a burger, fries, well done. You know, like they have such social anxiety of that moment that they can't do it. And that's you're taking away, like, that goes back to that process. You have to, from a young age, let them work the process.
Let them work the process.
Yeah.
How dare I go out to the restaurant and, oh, he would like this. Like, why do I do it? Like, after I've seen that, after I heard that and I processed it, I'm like, why do I do that? Why have I been doing that? Why have I been asking my kids, what do you want to eat? And then the waiter comes, and then I'm speaking up for them. Like, no, you order for me. Let them know what I want.
I think at a certain point you probably just, and as my son gets older, I'll probably realize this, you're just on autopilot from when they're like, down here, and you gotta change it, then you gotta do this, and then you gotta, like, all right, come on, we gotta put your shoe, all right, we gotta go to church or whatever, and you're probably just in autopilot
Yes, sir.
from, because they always say you think of your kids as, that small or whatever.
All the time.
And that's how you're always going to see them. Doesn't matter if they're, I don't know, when you watch them get married or whatever. You're always going to think of them as that small. And and I think that's probably the frustration or the part that you're talking about.
It's the line. Like, what am I?
Ooh, the line. Where's the line?
Am I helping? Am I really helping? How much do you need to know I love you? That's kind of what it really hit me. Like, how much do you need to know I love you? Like, me ordering your food for you, me doing that, like, that's not necessarily love. It has nothing to do with me loving you or letting you know that I'm here to provide for you. That's just making it a little bit too easy. And it's okay for it to be challenging. We just talked about it earlier before we got on camera, the sense of the hurdle that makes the person, whether it's man or female, but that sense of adversity. And if I'm not even letting you order your food and let them know it's wrong, like, I'm restraining you from adversity. And it makes sense because my son tried out for the 9th grade team. Shout out to you, Jordan Davis. And he didn't make the team. And the coach said that he wasn't intense enough. He wasn't. And my son he can play basketball. Not to sit there and say that he's the next LeBron James, but no, he can make a high school basketball team. But after he said that, like, no, he is right. My son is very standoffish, and he's very yes sir and yes ma'am. And you were a 9th grade boy before, at a practice, in a gym. Those boys are not polite. They're not.
I'm sorry, that's not funny, but it kind of. I'm picturing it in my head. Go ahead.
They're not polite. They're not any of that. So to have a polite young man, it's like, why are you not roughing in there with the wolves? Why are you over here working on your handles while everybody else is over there playing 21 or bumping around? So it looks as if you're not that intense. But like, that's not even how our household is. And I had to say that to the coach. Like, I'm not reprimanding you, or I don't want you to second guess your choice. Like, good job for not putting my son on your team. Like, that's not a big deal. But what you might have been looking for isn't our household. Like, I'm a poet. His dad's a poet, bro. Like, and we don't speak over each other. Like, we don't slap box. Like, we're not any of that stuff. So I'm pretty sure you've seen a bunch of kids, super aggressive kids, and from a comparison standpoint, you're like, man, I need somebody just a little bit more aggressive. But my son would have ran through a wall for you. He would have followed every direction. He was going to be a good team player. Like, but I had to let my son also know, like, you need to understand the community that you're in, because the sense of ready is the sense of warrior, not sense of I'm preparing. Like, you really need to just pay attention to that. And again, it made me kind of reflect on that wolf or sheep mentality. Like, did my son walk into basketball practice as a sheep, or did he walk in there like a wolf? Like, nah, I'm here. Like, I'm here. I'm not going to stray away from the activity because it's not something I'm used to. Let me get comfortable with something new,
And that's a really good lesson too. I mean, because that's a different, like you said, those are two different worlds. That's another world. You're that competitive edge. I'm thinking of like when Michael Jordan, like when he had to step up and he got rough, and he used to talk a lot of smack.
Oh yes.
He used to talk a lot of smack, and like, because he was the most intense guy.
Yep.
He's
exerting that authority.
Yeah, and he always did way harder than everybody else. He was always there, like, and I'm thinking, Kobe, the same thing. Like,
it's you walking around with the camera at the last Friday.
Yeah.
Like, your presence is felt. Like, you're not walking around gingerly. You are paying attention to your extremely expensive camera, and you, like, who deserves a shot? Who deserves this moment to be filmed? And I'm not joking. Like, that's how it is. Before you filmed me, I seen you. Like, your presence was felt, and because you're there for a reason. Like, man, I say that to my son. Like, bro, you didn't go into practice to do your individual drills, bro. You're there for a reason. You need to, like, I'm here. Like, I'm here. I'm trying to be a part of this team.
It's funny you have sports as kind of the analogy, because I was thinking, as you were talking about your son, I was thinking about me when I played baseball, and like, I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and like, I was looking up from, like, the only thing I watched was like, Mike Piazza and I just trying to think of all that, like Darryl Strawberry. They were my heroes when I was a kid, and when I didn't make it, when I struck out and I was not what I thought I could be, man, oof, that was, it was just crushing. And but like I always say, like, I was grateful that I struck out, and I was grateful that it happened then. Like, it was, I just always say, like, I was grateful that I was able to strike out.
Oh yes, it makes you better. It puts you. We can't win all the time, man. We cannot. I feel like it's such a dangerous thing. It's almost like, as we mentioned, the angel and the devil on one side. I think that is the devil when you win all the time, and you put yourself in a position to like be entitled, and you feel like you deserve it, and you only got $1 million. Like, it puts you in that position where like anything less than that is what is it. So I'm glad my boy didn't make it. I'm glad you struck out, because if you always hit, man, the reaction of like then getting out, it's like you don't know, you're overwhelmed.
But then when you finally get it, you feel the weight of that ball and that pitch come in.
Oh yes.
And it jars you, and you're just like, oh my God, I got to hit.
Oh yes. As I mentioned, the podcast I was listening to,
Yeah.
it mentioned the sense of, as a basketball one I listen to a lot, and I reference basketball a lot because I am a basketball coach. I coach at Emerson Waldorf in Chapel Hill. But it mentioned that kids thinking about the game, like that's practicing. Like you striking out and going home to sleeping on it, and you like, what did I do? You were practicing. And so many people don't even process that. They think I'm overthinking and I couldn't get it out of my head. No, man, you practicing. You are sitting there envisioning the game, thinking about how your feet were, thinking about how your hand was on the bat. So the next time, you're like, oh man, probably didn't grip it right. Like my shoulders probably would, like you went to sleep on that thought. That was practice. And I tell kids that all the time. Like, I hope that you go to sleep thinking about what we did. Like, lose a little sleep. You're supposed to go to bed at 9, typically fall asleep at 9:15. No, don't go to sleep till 10:30 with this on your thought process, because you're processing it. You're absorbing it. So when I say it to you again, you're gonna speak over me. Oh yeah, this is what you said, coach. Because you thought about it for so long. Like, that's the best part. It's the best part of failure, man.
And you know what's so funny? This is where ego can be an ally. It could be that angel, because you want to be, you want to be Aaron Judge, you know. There it go,
How did he do it?
Yeah, you want to be Aaron Judge. You want to be, I don't know, any of the greats, right?
Yep.
You want to be Michael Jordan. Wham,
Yep.
with that style and that flair. And it's one of those things, this is what I say, that ego can serve you, because you don't want to be humiliated in front of all your teammates and everybody else, and the catcher back there talking smack to you, right? So you go back to the drawing board. Okay, let's see, where did we go wrong?
Yep.
Keep your eye on the ball, keep your eye on the pitch. Let's see what signs can I pick up.
What's that Indiana coach who threw the chair on Bob Knight or whatnot during the college game? He never did it twice, because I threw this chair. My team realized how serious that I am, and they never made him that mad again. Like, you never put me in this position. It's okay to see me this outraged, because if you enjoyed it, if it was comical, you would have put me in that position again. But nah, you didn't have to. It's like disciplining a kid. Like if you didn't like how my eyes looked, and my facial expression looked, and my tone of voice looked, and I asked my son, man, when was the last time I had to discipline you? It hadn't been a while, because you didn't like how I sounded. You haven't put me in that position to have to sound so stern. It's the same thing. You didn't put me in a position to throw the chair. You didn't put yourself in a position to strike out. Like, It's all the same process, man. It's all the same.
That's awesome. Tell me about your process of writing poetry. I mean, I'm sure, since we're talking about this struggle, right? Like this, have you ever gotten writer's block or anything like that?
So I try my best when I'm reading to read a lot of figurative language and literary devices, opposed to just reading a poem or reading a novel. Like, I'll just sit there and just read a bunch of alliteration tactics, or a bunch of iambic pentameter tactics, or a bunch of personification tactics. And I'm a child at heart. I'm a huge child at heart. And so my brain kind of goes very whimsical in the first place. So in the sense of writer's block, I'll never get writer's block. I'm speaking it into existence. I'm a knock on wood. Like, I know I'm not, because somebody can give me the word rain, and I'm going to write a poem about the rain having joy from finally being let go of the palms of the cloud. And I just thought about that, but that's just how my brain works, because I just personified the raindrop and the cloud. So then as I'm writing that, I will use a little alliteration to talk about how the raindrop feels flowing through the beautiful breeze. And so just the way to paint the picture and using imagery. And a lot of times I'll write a poem for somebody and they're like, oh man, I can see what you're talking about. Like, man, that's the imagery part. Like, that's the word that you learned when you were in 9th and 10th grade that you kind of forgot because you're in the business world and your brain doesn't go literature, but mine does.
So tell me about, I know, because this reminds me of, I was thinking about, you were talking about me and the presence, and I didn't know I had any kind of presence. It probably just takes years of just, doing it and screwing up, striking out, right? Probably a whole lot of that to find, this, and I could tell that's why I was like, you got to be on this program and not just in the first Friday piece. I was like, we need to.
I do appreciate that.
We need to keep going. Like, I think it just takes years of like, now I'm just like, okay, need to have that person, got to have them on.
It comes from me speaking in poetry too. I have a great friend. I love him so much. Shout out to Benandre Green. And he told me like 9 years ago at a barbecue where we're just having a good time, laughing, doing what friends do, no art in mind. And I was talking about a girl I was dating, and I was like, man, I thought her picture was a Mona Lisa, man, just painted and stuck forever, but it was really written in dry erase marker. And as soon as the wind blew, and he just was cracking up laughing. He said, you're such an old man, like, who just talks like that? And I was just like, man, but I'm serious. Like, man, I thought she was perfect, and I thought she was just this painting, but it was just dry erase marker, man. And as soon as it rained, it just went away. And he just like, a lot of my friends remind me, like, you just talk in poetry all the time. It's all the time.
Is it just because, do you think it's, and this is where I was going with this, like, how much time do you spend like reading or writing, or like how many hours in like a day maybe do you spend just like, I don't know, reading poetry?
I listen and I read a lot of poetry, man. I spend my mornings, I've been spending my mornings for a very long time, where I'll wake up and as I'm brushing my teeth, I'll listen to some button poetry or some Def Jam poetry or one of my friends' spoken word albums, or I'll just YouTube like poem, and I'll either listen to that or a motivational speech, but typically it's a poem. Like, that's definitely a part of my morning routine, and I've been doing that for so long. And then I go to a lot of spoken word poetry events, and it's just a part of my life. It's like a huge part of my life, just trying to soak it in. And I don't necessarily write like anyone, so it's not like somebody can read a poem or hear one of my spoken word poems and it's like, oh, that sounds like ... No, I have my own original style, so it's not necessarily like I'm being influenced by the poems that I'm listening to. I'm listening to it from an enjoyment standpoint. I'm entertained by it. Yeah. And I do also, shout out to anybody that's listening to this that's going to be offended by what I'm about to say. I do think poetry is very corny also. I do think that it can be presented very distasteful and with no tact and too vulgar and too focused on the promiscuity side of it. So someone who is getting introduced to poetry to step into a open mic and they see someone with a raunchy or risque poem, which isn't nothing wrong with that, but from somebody who never ever listens to poetry to be like, hey, I want to go out one night, and then that's what they hear and that is their perception of it. Like, that's what makes it corny. That's what makes it very corny. It's like introducing a basketball analogy again, like coaching a middle school team who's never played basketball and the coach can dunk. Like I don't want to do this game. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
Oh, you think like the bar, like it's like way up here and almost unachievable.
It makes it corny, and it makes it like, is that how I do it? It's not necessarily the unachievable, but is that how I'm supposed to do this? And it makes it very corny. Like, you can go, there's a TikToker who writes a poem, and it's about like orange, smornge, borange, and I wish that I wasn't born. And it's like, and that's a style, that's a limerick, what I just said off the top of my head, just this so super rhymey poem, but it gets super corny. Like, it's supposed to be a blend of that with a ballad and a sonnet to make it entertaining from a listening standpoint. So that's why I'm very comfortable calling it corny when it's from a listening, entertaining, you're putting it out into the world for somebody to hear, but it's very bland and monotone. Nobody's going to listen to a speech that doesn't have any highs or lows or engaging things. Or so when it's positioned where it's very bland, it's only about me sharing a poem that's only about the inadequacies of my dad and what my father did to me, and I can't believe they did that. And without it making it relatable and putting it in a position where it's not I statements. Now, opposed to me speaking about the inadequacies of my childhood from my father's lack. No, I can make that relatable to everyone. That makes it corny from my standpoint. Like, I don't want to hear somebody, I did this, I did that. And it's okay when it's building up to be relatable. Yeah.
Tell me about this. So you talked about that style. Tell me about your style, because you don't necessarily rhyme all the time. Is there a different style in each poem that you write?
It's a different style. Sometimes I try my best to rhyme, but it's a lot of assonance where I would rhyme the middle of the word. I will give you an example, like Lose Yourself by Eminem is a perfect example of how he uses assonance, because you better lose yourself in the moment to own it. You better never let it go. Like, he's rhyming that moment, that middle of that moment instead of that NT. So it's like I try my best to do a lot of rhyming in between, opposed to focus on the end of the word like a Dr. Seuss rhyme. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess you listen to a lot of music too, and you pull that out.
I try my best to pull it out, especially from a cultural reference standpoint. I love writing a poem for a young person and try my best to drop in a lyric that I can assume that they would know, but maybe referencing it in a poetic way to just kind of just make that a little bit more impactful, especially when I'm talking to kids. Like, all right, everybody write down their favorite couple lines from a musical quote. That's my favorite exercise to do to young people. All right, now turn that quote that you like, now make that grow. Turn that into a poem. Make that about you. Make that, personify that. If one of your lyrics is sitting at the dock of the bay, shout out to Sam Cooke. If somebody were to write that quote down, like, oh, that's my favorite quote, or how does the dock feel about being sat on? Alrighty, now opposed to you feeling all relaxed about sitting on the dock, now how does that dock feel about finally letting somebody rest on it?
That's amazing. That makes me think, when you talk about Eminem and lyrics and that reminds me of 99 Problems. Mm-hmm. And there's a moment where he talks about getting pulled over and by the cop, and he's rhyming back and forth. Where do you think you the law? I haven't passed the
Kid
bar.
Rock doing it.
I haven't been to the bar, but I know a little something.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how smart you are when the canine. Oh man, there's so much, like the way he rhymed. The way he put all that together was just absolutely beautiful. And
brilliant.
Yeah, it was freaking brilliant, yeah.
From a conversational standpoint, because it takes it more than just bobbing your head and just listening to the song. Like, that was a whole little story. Like that, and he only did that conversational standpoint in that part of the song. So if we get back to what I'm saying, like, it makes it, if the whole song was that would have been so corny. If the whole song would have, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If he would have been conversational with the police officer, the whole song, it would not have been as engaging. But for him to know the brilliance of Jay-Z, it's like, all right, I got 99 problems, but now let me have this dialogue with the officer real quick to let you know how much this was one of my problems.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even. Yeah. But it was. I don't know. It's funny how like that's what clicked in my head. Was I don't know why, because I think we were talking about it. We were trying to quote it. I couldn't remember all of it, but somebody brought it up, and we were trying to quote it back and forth, and it was just amazing.
That's the second time I referenced Jay-Z. I was just on Oak 93.5 in Raleigh 2 weeks ago. Shout out to Magic and El Plugga, and we referenced Jay-Z Threats. So that's the second time that the Black Album got referenced in an interview. So shout out to Jay-Z. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Jay-Z.
That's awesome. Tell me about your books. Like, how you wrote books on
Yep.
poetry.
Yep.
and,
So
like,
my first book is Broken Perception. I wrote that in 2016, and it's a book primarily a lot of spoken word poems that put me in position to just speak at a lot of colleges and have my work recognized, and that was really, really great. That book kind of just was forced out of me. Like, all right, I have all these poems. What am I going to do with them? And all right, why not put a book together? And my second book, Fallen Apples, that book was me trying to step outside of spoken word poetry and write a poem, write some literary works of art. I don't want these to be performance pieces where I'm going to step on stage and share these in a 3-minute lengthy, because from a spoken word slam standpoint, a poem typically is 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So I'm like, all right, I don't want to necessarily write these lengthy poems. Let me just write some poems. And so that was really fun for me, to just go back to writing poetry opposed to trying to step on stage. And my third book, Lost Poems, that's when the typewriter came into play, and I had a whole message board of poems that someone would send back to me, where I'd write a poem from somebody. And I've traveled to Hawaii and DC and Virginia and Michigan and California and Florida, so many amazing places. And I'd write a poem for somebody, and they would message that back to me, like, man, you should have a picture of that. So I published those poems that people would send back to me, and I called them Lost Poems. And so that book was received very well. Wow. And then my fourth book is a book that I really love so much. It's a book of haiku poetry, which is the Japanese format of poetry, the 5-7-5 syllable count. And what I did is I wrote a collection of haikus. There's about 30 haikus in that book, and each haiku I turned into a word search. So you'll have a haiku on one page that you can process and enjoy, and then on the other side is a word search that you're looking for those words. And so that's my fourth book. And my fifth book is my most prized possession, is Write It, Learn It, and Let It Grow. And this is an educational book that I'm trying my best to get in schools across the country, or put myself in position to be able to teach this to the masses. But this is a book that teaches teachers how to teach poetry. I'm such a fan of poetry, and I know that what it has done for my life in regards to my confidence and my ability to share my thoughts. And I know that poetry typically is only taught during National Poetry Month in a week-long format, where it introduces a child to a free verse poem or a haiku, or just really bare minimum. But the sense of letting them know about the Epic of Gilgamesh, the first poem that was ever written in 2100 BC, how it was literally written on stones. So I reflect on that poem, and I have an activity where I bring Play-Doh or clay to a class, and I have students write a poem, and now let's transcribe that poem onto this Play-Doh. So you can see, this is how the first poem was written, the patience that it took. And clearly the Play-Doh is going to dissolve, and it's not going to last forever. But that's going to be a memory that a kid is going to have, remembering the Epic of Gilgamesh. And then from that, I go on to the story of Beowulf, how the story of Beowulf is just a journey of a hero, and having discernment, as we talked about earlier, from the angel on one side and the devil on one side. That's literally what Beowulf is about, struggling with decision, and giving students an understanding on, you are also in that same journey that was written about so long ago. You are just in high school or in middle school. You need to have the same discernment that Beowulf wrote about. So I have an activity where students can position themselves to be this hero, this god, and what is their burden? What's the thing that's going to take your power away? Is it not doing your homework? Is it not listening to your parents? Like, what is this priority that you are running away from? And to give students a chance to reflect on Beowulf with their own life. And I have every style of poetry in here, from quatrains to tankas to ballads to sonnets, and what makes it that, examples of that. I have essays in here. I have multiple choice tests in here. I have so many different poetry templates, and I worked on this for 10 years, and I'm just trying my best. I'm trying my best to put this as a ABC Mouse, IXL learning type format online, and because I know that poetry is really growing. Poetry is really growing. North Carolina just gave students an opportunity to represent poetry as a youth poet laureate. Shout out to Jackie Shelton Green, who is the North Carolina poet laureate, but she did her due diligence in making that a platform for young people. So my annoyance is if this is going to be a platform for adults, if I can win a title of poet laureate and put myself in position, why are we not introducing this to kids at such an earlier age? If I can go to an open mic event that's filled with 75 adults expressing how they feel inadequate at their job or they're struggling from their divorce, if you see this as a worthy outlet, why are we not introducing this to our children? And especially considering that a lot of kids have that social anxiety that you're saying. Like this is a fix for that. Not everybody's going to be Sylvia Plath. However, a young person speaking about their problems and personifying that and making it seem like the football is having the issues and a football player understanding, like, I don't want to talk about how I'm having a bad game, but the football's flat. Like you give a kid an outlet to really express themselves. And I'm trying my best to make that my legacy. And I know it's going to work out because I care about it so much. And the way that poetry has continued to grow for me, that this is going to take off. This might just be version 1 out of so many that I'm going to create that I don't even know yet. Yeah.
That's amazing. I was thinking of, when you said how you teaching teachers how to teach, I was just thinking of Dead Poets Society.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And how they read the first, like, I was just thinking that's like how I learned, was like, read page 1, and it's just very linear. And it's like, no, poetry is like, it's expressive,ness, and it's, it's this beauty, and it's, or it could be ugly. I mean,
it's abstract.
Yeah.
And it's what you want to make it. You can make up words, and you have an opportunity to be creative. There's a poetry style called ekphrastic poetry, ekphrastic, I believe is how you spell it. But it's, you simply look at a painting, and it's, what does that line feel about being next to the blue? What does the frame feel about holding the painting? What did the paintbrush feel about making that brushstroke? So it's really taking a chance to think outside of yourself, and you're thinking about.
It's like empathetic
Yes.
to whatever.
Whatever, exactly. It's exactly what it is. And that's a good way. That's exactly what it is. That was going to be my next point. So it's giving kids an understanding on things have feelings. Even if you're able to think how this painting feels and expressing how that red is so vibrant next to the blue. And look at you taking a second to think about something else. So why did you push that kid on the slide? Why'd you do that at recess? I've asked that during my summer camp so many times. Man, you really got into that ekphrastic poetry exercise. Man, you really got into it. Man, yes, because the red was sad, that it wasn't only used just a little bit compared to how the purple was everywhere. You just had a bag full of grapes and you only shared it with your friends. And there was a kid that asked and you said no. But you really want to tell me how the red is sad? Like, think about that. I'm not telling you to share your grapes because that's not my job. But I want you to think about that. And then you see a kid over there. Sorry, I didn't share my grapes. It's like, yeah, that's what it's for.
Wow. Do you think that there's something been lost, like, over the years with poetry? Do you think it kind of fell? I think you're right, it is having kind of a rising now. But do you think it kind of fell out of favor for a little while?
Oh yes, as the world has gave us an example of the the industrialized mechanicalism of the world, tablets, like everything is so mechanic. Why would somebody write poetry? Like, it's not even a thing. You have to sit down, you have to process when everything is automated. Like, I can go to McDonald's and press something to get my burger. I don't even have to socialize with someone. And poetry is you need to sit down and think. You need to sit down and think. I just was at Carey Academy. There's a program called the Dream Academy, and it's a beautiful program. And I had 25 students in my class, and I loved high school students. I love high school students. Their brain goes so quick. Everybody, here's a piece of paper, write what's your name, why you're here, what do you want to be when you get older. All right, I'm done. All right, everybody, how does what you want to be feel about you being that? And just to see the difference when a kid, task, you mentioned it earlier, task-oriented, what are you supposed to do? They wrote the task, all right, what do we do next? All right, how does engineering feel about you becoming an engineer. And they're like, what?
That's a crazy, wild idea.
What does that
Like,
even-
even for me now, is like, that's a crazy, wild idea to think about.
Like, what does that even mean? Yeah, are you mature enough for that?
Ooh, are
Like,
you going to respect it?
Yes, because you know what it means. You want to be an engineer. You wrote that down. You wrote engineer down. I don't even know your name, sir. You just got here. But what does engineering think about you wanting to become that? Because it knows what it takes to be a good engineer. You mentioned you want to be an NBA player. What does the NBA feel about that? Did you even make your high school team? No, I didn't make it. The coach was tripping. All right, what does the NBA feel about that? All right, like, all right, I'm gonna leave y'all alone. And just to see, like, the light bulbs go off and like, the doodling on the side of the paper and like, because kids are thinking. It's like, good job. It took you 2 seconds to write your name down and what you want to be. Prove it. What is what you want to be feel about that, about you? Because I know when I was a kid and I said I wanted to be a poet, poetry jumped on me. Oh, you want to be this? Read this. Listen to this. Focus on this. Annotate this. Like, that's what poetry did for me. So I love having that as an example because I knew what I wanted to be. So I dove into it and I embraced it. As weird as it was, I don't even understand what that means. But why don't I understand it? All right, prove it.
That's crazy. What does it feel about you? That's...
Man, ask your son that. Man, I challenge you, man. When your son,
I'm going to have to write that down.
yeah, when your son gets older and he's like, man, Dad, man, I want to play baseball for the team. So, all right, well, what does baseball feel about that? You ain't never played baseball before, young man.
Right.
I know we toss it in the backyard. I know that you and I have fun. I've got you the little balls, but this is a different thing now. You're about to be on the team. What do you think the team feels about that? Like, we've watched it on TV. You kind of process what it means to be on a team. But you want it, all right, I'm going to take you. But if that team could speak, what would it say about you being unprepared? You ain't never did this before. Like, really, like, what do you think it would say to you? Like, and you going to see the light bulb go off in your boy eye as opposed to the eagerness. Now it's just like, no, let me take this a little bit more serious.
And it's funny because what you don't think about, and what I think about now is, like, he may not, even if I say that, or things like similar to that, he may not understand it even in that moment. But like, even like 10 years later, it might be like, when he's applying for that job interview, you know, that job he really wants or something, it may click and be like, ooh, what is this job, or what are these people going to think about me when I enter?
Yes.
What is this, you know, ooh. You know, even if he didn't make the team and he was just horsing around being a kid, you know, and didn't take it seriously at that moment, what's it going to mean 10, 15 years from now when he's like, ooh, man. You know, what is, Luke Combs wrote a song, and he talks about his father, you know, like, you were always right or something like that, and it's like, you knew I shouldn't have drank, you knew I shouldn't have smoked, but, you know, I did it anyway, and it was like my father, you know, he was always right about these types of things, and it was, I don't know, it was just fun.
It's the lesson, man. It's the big lesson. I have such a loving relationship with my sons, and it's so fun because with me having a 19-year-old son and me having a 15-year-old son, and I had a son at 19, I was so militant and let me make sure I do it right, and I'm a provider, and all the wrong things. No softness at all. So my sons and I, my oldest boy and I's relationship, and it's great, but a lot of the conversations, like, we had to shift through that. Man, Dad, I'm the way that I am because I remember this one time, man, you were so serious to me, and I'm like, man, I ain't do nothing good for you, did it? Nah, I actually didn't, Dad. Like, so I'm like, gosh, okay, well, let me approach Jordan different, because clearly my older boy has a little resentment, and he feels like I may have pushed him too hard. So now it's just, all right, let me try to be a little bit more loving, but it's not wrong. It's just like, good job for me to at least open the room for communication. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, well, let me make sure I love on your little brother a little different. I'm still going to put foot to neck. I'm still going to let you know what your priorities are. I'm still going to hold you accountable, but I don't have to shame you.
Right.
And I think that that's something that I enjoyed, the conversation. A bad game. I can't believe you missed those layups. Man, you can do better than that. Oh, that's just shame. So much shame in those words, opposed to like, man, don't forget the practice you did. Like, you worked for 2 hours on layups, but you missed some of your layups. Don't forget that practice. It's the same conversation. I just said the same thing. I just didn't shame you. You know what I'm saying? And I enjoy being a father and just really listening. Oh man, I didn't do that necessarily from a soothing standpoint. Not the wrong or right, but it left a soft spot. You know, I don't gotta leave a soft spot.
Yeah. That's one of those things that we talked about. You know, you're not always gonna have the right answer. You're not always gonna have the right thing to say. It just sucks that you know now, like, you're like, damn, I could have. You know, now you're going on with your life thinking, damn, I could have.
I could have, man.
Yeah.
And I love you so much. Like you're not at NC State, and I already know like kids talk about their parents. This is the age from 19 to 22. Your social interactions is based upon your parents. I would never be convinced anything otherwise, but if you and I were 19, met at NC State, after we got done being kids and eating food, man, so what type of stuff did y'all do growing up? Oh man, my dad was a butthead. He always made me clean my room and make my bed up, and it's like that's the conversations that kids have. So I'd be like, damn, I wonder what my boy is reflecting. Like, not that I can change it, and I'm like, man, I really wonder what type of horror stories that he says to his friends, because that's his perspective. I'm not saying I was like beating my kid. That's not my personality at all. But I know I was super stern. And from his perspective, maybe it was too stern, you know?
And you got 3 kids, right?
Yep, I have 2 boys. I have Josiah's at NC State. Jordan, he lives with me. And then I have a daughter. Her name is Janiyah, and she lives in Charlotte. So I have 3 kids with 1 person, which is amazing. But as my daughter got older, she's turned more into a lady, and her and me and my kid's mother have a great relationship. And she's like, hey, like let's let us ladies do what ladies do, you know.
Did you you talked about the son? Did you feel different? Is it different? Because I wouldn't know. Is it different raising a little girl?
It is. It is different raising a young lady. One thing that I really enjoyed is having a young lady in between 2 boys, because my young lady was very tough growing up. She always wanted to play basketball and not be left behind. So it was a culture shock when she turned into a young lady. And it just was like, oh man, we got to make sure we respect that. Like, she's not into basketball as much. She doesn't want to play volleyball. She wants to get her nails done, and she wants to get her hair braided and wear little cutesy things. So it's just the approach. And I personally, maybe this is not defined for every young lady in the world, but I think the sense of accountability that my young lady has is not as apparent as it is for my sons, because like, yeah, she does get sad and she does have feelings, and the sense of expressing them, it's okay. And not saying that my sons don't, but it's like task oriented. Like, you're not going to be sad. I'm like, boy, I told you to take out the trash yesterday. Why is it not taken out? Now you got to cut the grass front and back because you didn't do it. Like, me saying that to my young lady, like, just like I don't know. She might be dealing with something lady like that. I don't even know. And so just softening that approach is like, hey, why didn't you? I'm not going to ask my sons why you didn't take the trash out. I'm not going to say that. But I would have to ask my daughter, man, you know, you just take it. What happened? Like, why didn't you? It's more of an understanding conversation, I feel like, with my young lady. Not to say that my sons don't haven't earned that or are not worthy of me understanding their reasons for no, but it's just different.
You think your approach is a little different?
Yeah, my approach just needs to be different. And I have a lot of female friends. Shout out to my best friend Melissa, and lives in Texas. And she just reminds me of that. Like, you need to make sure you're speaking to your daughter in the sense that she knows a man needs to speak to her. So that sense of understanding is why it's so apparent. You don't need to get used to somebody just questioning you without having understanding, and you need to let somebody know. Like, you don't need to talk to me like that. Like, my father gave me grace enough to understand why I didn't do. You need to also do that. And I'll make sure she has that vocabulary. I'm trying to get understanding so you can know, like, you better stand on ground. Nobody should not question you or dictate what you're doing. With at least some understanding. You're married. You know your wife is not going to like that. Without, hey, why? I thought you were going to make this for dinner. Why didn't you? Hey, what happened, babe? I was looking forward to that meatloaf. It's a whole. You said the same.
My wife makes a good meatloaf.
yeah, and you'll be looking forward to it. And she said, "Hey, I'm gonna have meatloaf for you when you get home." You're not gonna be like, "What's up?" No, it's like, "Hey, give me some understanding."
That's awesome. Damn, that's deep. Wow. Where do we go from here? You want to, maybe if I give you a word, you want to throw out a
Oh
poem?
yeah, I would love to write a poem for you, man.
Let me,
I love to write a
let me-
poem. I love to spit a performance poem, whichever you want. I'm here.
do you have any words that you, if you want to throw out a word, that's fine.
No, this, what word do you have? I'm gonna write it down. So how this works, I've got my paper. It says my poem, your topic. I'm gonna hand this over to you, and you can
Okay.
write down with your amazing handwriting, the calligraphy of the gods.
The calligraphy of the gods.
That sounds like a great title for a book. This has been great. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, man. This has actually been awesome for me.
I've got quite a few events coming up. I'm going to be in Atlanta from April 28th through May 2nd, and then I'll be in Richmond, Virginia for the African American Book Festival May 3rd, and the Atlanta event, my apologies for forgetting that, is the Tamika Festival. The amazing Georgia Me, she's doing a poetry festival, and she's been on HBO and Steve Harvey, so I'm really excited to be there.
Let me reset the camera so
Yep.
that we can.
Oh yes. Perfect. My friend, you gave me the word discipline. I said, does a river not flow forever? Found is the free thought to not be stopped. Why do we stop with worry, wishing things being different when we are the river, running all ways with cold days, winter nights under is still flowing, this focus, that water, the wisdom in us should go and grow and let things grow around us forever. Discipline.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, that was fun.
I like. Where did you get these? So.
Yep, so I design these cards. I have quite a few of them. I probably have like 50 of them that I make. And it just makes it easier for me to just not look at the same thing all the time. And one thing that I love is I linked up with quite a few businesses in the area. So this card right here is representing Posh Picnic, which is a phenomenal business. Please look them up if you're watching this video. In Durham, they represent Durham, and they go to your house and kind of make your little picnic and kitchen a little speakeasy, antiquated Great Gatsby event. So they'll come and bring all the things, and they'll kind of cater a really nice Great Gatsby style picnic. So I had a chance to work with them. So I have quite a few cards that's representing their business because I feel like more people should know about them. And then I have some cards with Nasher, or the one that I type with you is just kind of representing a corkboard office style paper. Just kind of just makes a difference. So when I'm setting up at an event, I have a tray with 6 different slots in them. So when someone approaches me, they have 6 different cards to choose from.
That's really awesome. And so you're promoting other people too.
Yeah.
Promoting other businesses.
Mhm.
That's really cool.
I'm trying my best to get into it more. It's just about just having time. It's really having time. I met a gentleman in Greensboro 10 years ago, and his business was promoting other businesses in bathrooms. And I know you've seen that before when you go to a bar or a restaurant and you see that they'll have the thing by the urinal.
Oh yeah.
that's-
They got like the frame. It's in the frame
it's in the
thing.
frame.
Yeah.
So I met that guy, and I was like, oh, this is really brilliant. So I just never let that idea go. So when as you mentioned, my memory. So I just never let that idea go. So when I started typing poems, it's like, oh man, I really enjoy your business. Would you like to partner up with me, and I can represent your business on my cards?
That's pretty cool. I really like the one you went to Princeton, I believe it was, and like you said, you try and go to 10 colleges a year.
Oh yeah, Princeton was amazing.
And that was, what an incredible, well, number one, they're an Ivy Leaguer, right?
Yeah, they're Ivy Leaguer.
They're like up there, I mean, that's, the top prestige. I mean, smartest, probably some of the smartest people, some of the smartest teachers,
Man, it
and
made
whatever
me-
their discipline is.
It made me realize I was smart. Like that was one of those moments that made me realize I was smart. I know I'm entertaining and engaging and have like a welcoming personality. I know that, but it made me realize I was smart, man. To get an opportunity to go to Princeton, and they had me. It's called Dean's Week, where students are stressed out because finals are due. So everybody's on that, like they're on it. They got to study. They need to have their mind on rigor. And so the dean hired me to come on campus for 2 days and type poems for everybody that walked past me to kind of ease up that pressure and understand it's going to be all right, and to pass out kind words. And I was in the food hall while students were eating, and I was writing poems for them. I was writing poems for the faculty, and just everywhere around campus for a couple of days in the coffee shops. And they did a great job with the photos and promoting me on their website. And I did a nice little graduation video. And I just felt respected, man, to write poems for Ivy League students and to have those engaging stories and to have that interaction. It was great. I came from the bottom. Like as I mentioned, my mother went to prison. My father has always struggled with his own inadequacies in life, and he's probably lived with his mother and still lives with his mother most of his life. So in regards to me having a wholesome upbringing, it's like, no, this came from grind and discipline and diligence and determination and will. So when I was on Princeton's campus, oh my gosh, my smile was ear to ear the whole time, and gratitude. Like in the day that I got there, I wasn't supposed to type poems. I was there for 3 days. I wasn't supposed to type poems until the next day. They were just going to eat dinner. But I was like, nah, let's like, where can I be? Like you brought me here to type poems. I don't just want to eat dinner and wait for tomorrow. Like, where are people at? And they just really enjoyed how eager I was. But again, this is why I'm here. I'm not here to just eat the meals that you're going to provide and stay in this nice hotel. I'm here to get these poems out.
That's, so I have like so many different thoughts right now. One of them is like, it took you like years to be, you talked about that discipline, and it just rolls over on itself, I think. Like, from you realizing, your passion of this poetry, or from you seeing your parents, and you understanding just your inspiration of, I guess, what you could be, and you just working on that over and over and over again, and to come to that moment, or moments like that at Princeton when you're just like, damn.
Yeah, these are the deposits. These are the deposits. This is why Mike jumped from the free throw line. That's why Steph Curry is going to hit a bunch of threes, because there are things that they're doing when nobody's watching. And that was one of those moments. Like, this is those deposits. This is where it's paying off right here.
Damn. That's awesome. You wrote, I remember you writing, the video was beautiful. You wrote the poem to the young lady about, you take this, it wasn't just about you, it's just not just about the piece of paper, but you're taking this moment and you're taking what you've learned here and you spreading it to other people. You're supposed to take this and educate other people. And I just thought it was beautiful the way you had put it.
Oh yes, I'm a big advocate for that. Like, that's what A Smile was doing. That's why I was so comfortable coming here, and you were comfortable like asking me to come, because we were so genuine and greeting each other with a smile, and you gave me a little piece of your story and I gave you a little piece of mine. Like, that's how that goes. That's what I'm trying to do all the time, man. Every single time. And I'm so grateful that I found this. As I mentioned, my older boys at NC State, I tell Jordan, when you leave my house, because he wants to go to NC State also. I'm gonna buy me an RV. I'm probably gonna buy me an RV in next year, and I'm not going to have any rent, and I'm not going to care about anything besides traveling the world, teaching my poetry curriculum, and writing poetry for people. And I'm like, that's going to be a perfect life for somebody like myself, where I'm not having to sit down and I can just stack up so much money. And the documentary that I mentioned from I Travel for Culture, like my end goal is to have a coffee shop here in Greensboro or in Durham, where this wall that you see behind us is encompassed with typewriters, and somebody can come in and order some coffee and grab a typewriter and type it up and walk away. Like, yeah, that's exactly what my life's supposed to be doing. Wow. And all this is just this interview, the interview I had before, me going to Atlanta next week, me going to DC, all that's just building up for that. Mm-hmm. So when I do have a coffee shop, folks like, oh man, I seen you in DC, and I drove from.
Oh, that's right, the DC one too. That was
Yeah.
cool. Sorry, keep going.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying my best to spread it out, man, so people can know who I am. So when I do have a brick and mortar space, man, folks just want to come. Like, man, you wrote a poem for me 5 years ago, and I see you've got this art gallery coffee shop. I just wanted to come support.
And that's funny because we were talking about that on the first Friday. We were talking about that, laying that groundwork, right? Everybody knows who in this area. Everybody knows who Josephus is.
Everybody knows
Everybody,
Josephus.
like that is he's a household name now, right? As far as I'm concerned, like
He is.
And I've seen him, like, been walking around with the camera. I've seen him for years, and the people he's influenced and coached, and all that stuff, and like that's been cool to see in the I was gonna say product.
It is, because he respects the same thing as I mentioned. He treats poetry like a product. This is not just something that I put on paper that I'm trying to share because I know this is a business. That's why you see him all the time. It's a product for him.
And he was doing that branding thing before it became, that popular TikTok thing where people would do the whole branding thing. You'd come up with like a logo and do your thing and whatever that thing was. He was doing that, years ago. And but he was laying that groundwork, and that was what we were talking about that, and that was one of the things we kind of started going back and forth. He's laid that ground. It takes years from.
When a poet asking, how do you get paid for it? And it's like, how dare you ask someone that? Because you can't compare yourself to Josephus because he's been doing this for forever. There's a school that he spoke at 5 years ago that he didn't speak at in 4 years. That's probably booked him to speak this year because he's laid the groundwork.
Yeah, and it just takes a while to be able to do that. It was like we were watching a guy when in firefighting, there's different skills and that you need to be able to get, and there's different classes and stuff like that, and like forcing a door. And when someone forces a door, like it's beautiful. It's a work of art. When you hear it, even the prop door, and what they use, it's a metal door, and on the other side of it is within the little bracket, there's little blocks of wood, and when you force it and you hear that snap, man, it's awesome. And I realized that we were watching one young guy from another department. I can't remember the context of it all, but I just remembered, like, I could feel everybody's kind of judgment on this young guy, because that's just like basketball, right? I realized, like, me forcing the door, when I did, I was like, man, that took years, and I'm still not great. Like, there's still a lot I have to learn on all those individual but it took me years to be able to get, and years of watching other people and in classes and other people's influence to be able to, come in and knock it down like that. Just like it took years for you to be able to just punch out a poem like it was nobody's business. Like, like you were on stage and boom, there it is. They're disciplined.
Yeah, you have to, it's that process, man. You can't skip it. You cannot skip it at all. That's one thing that I enjoy about having a little longer hair is, and I was just telling a good friend of mine, Bobby, his hair is done grew a little bit, and he's learning to work on his car. I'm like, man, just like your hair, bro. Your hair didn't grow like yesterday. It took you years for your hair to grow. It's going to take you a long time. If you done decided I'm never taking my car to the shop again, and I'm about to just do everything myself. man, you better take your time and learn it, or you're gonna end up messing it up even more. Like it's that process, man. I love it. I'm a big fan of hard times. It took me a while to mature to say that, but that's the growth part. That's the growth part.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate all the times when you, I don't want to say like, misspelled something, or I'm trying to like put this into your world, maybe mistyped something, or, all those hours you spent, like, God.
And I never forget it. When I first started doing a poem, there was a lady in Durham.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a poem for her. She gave me $25 for it. She's so nice and kind. It was a Saturday market.
Mm-hmm.
The next Saturday, she came back and asked for her $25 back because she said I misspelled some things on her poem. And I had been typing poems for like a year and a half at that time. It threw me for a loop. I was very comfortable to give her $25 back, and didn't make any fuss about it. And I was very welcoming and apologetic. And it was like, man, let me type another. No, it's okay. No, let me type one on the house. Like on the house. And the reason why I had misspelled some words is the typewriter that I had just got it. So my fingers was like, I just wasn't used to it.
Yeah, there's a certain way your hands form to the keys, and
I just wasn't used to that one.
It's like you went from an Android to an iPhone.
Yep, I just wasn't used to it.
Yeah,
and she was particular, and I don't mind that. I don't mind it at all. And I was like, let me fix this. And it gave, I don't think I made a mistake on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gave me a chance to like, boy, you better, if you are giving this away as a service, good way for me to get this interaction early, because I wonder how many people I've made mistakes on that wanted to say something. And I said that to her too. I wonder how many misspelled words I've given to somebody and they just thought about saying something. So I'm glad you did say something to me, so I can be more particular and pay more attention to it.
That's amazing that you took that ownership of that, and you
wholeheartedly.
used it.
Wholeheartedly.
Like, was there any part of you in that moment that, like, we talked about that devil and that angel being like, almost like, how dare she?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all, man. If she came to me at like, I'm at the market from 8 to 12. She probably came at like 11:30. My tip jar had like enough money in there for me not to even, here you go. Like, it wasn't even a big deal. Like, I am so sorry. Like, you waited a week? Like, that was a whole week you had to sit on this? My man. And I'm like always using an analogy. I couldn't imagine if that was some food. Like, what if this was a food you ordered at a restaurant and you're like stewing on this for a whole week or something? Like, my fault, man. I'm so sorry.
Good on you, though. Like, that's, I know people, like, there's a lot of people in this world that would have taken offense or, whatever. Like,
it's not good to be a jerk, man.
Yeah.
It's not, as we mentioned off camera, just some of the situations that I've been in my life, and just not putting my best foot forward, as I say all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not good to be a jerk, man. And you never know where that's going to come. You never know how that interaction, she might have been given that poem, and I don't know because she ain't share it, but I just always think, like, what if that was for her cousin who was sick or something like that, and she wanted it to be perfect, like, and I'd be thinking about that when people try to check me. And I just went on my hangout 3 weeks ago, and as soon as we went to the restaurant, the gentleman, as soon as we get in there, he was clearly understaffed. He's like, I'm sorry, it's gonna take a while for me to take your order. 2 people called out today. And what I ordered, he didn't even bring it to me. He brought the wrong food. And the lady who I was with, she's like, aren't you gonna tell him you got the wrong order? I'm hungry. And this don't look bad. No, but that's not what you ordered. It's not that big of a deal. And then she kind of tried to say, oh, men always are just letting things slide. No. Because what you didn't hear is when I went up there to grab a beer for both of us, he said that he was overwhelmed. So I'm not about to do that. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal for me to tell that lady, no, I'm not giving you the $25 back. When I have a jar full of money that she can visually see, it's like, it's not that big of a deal, man. Get this lady her money back and make her feel good. Wow. The house burning thing we said earlier, bro. When the house is burning, like, you gotta be
throw some water on it.
Yeah, throw some water on it, man.
Mm.
I'm really trying my best to be so nice and kind and peaceful and a good person, man. I swear to God, I'm trying my best to be a good person, and I mean it. I lose sleep over it because bad people live long lives and they just really just cross a bunch of people the wrong way. That's the whole truth.
Bad people live long
They live,
lives.
man, they live long lives, and they have so many tarnished paths, and they done hurt so many people, and they're making people not enjoy their meal, or they're intrusive, or they're rude, and they just sit there and plant seeds in folks. They're like, man, I can't believe 2 years ago that this person like bumped me in the Kroger line. Like, people will remember that, and I'm not talking about their lives physically, but the memory that they leave on people. And I ain't trying to do that to nobody. I'm not trying to be long-lived in anybody's head from giving them a bad impression or bad interaction or anything of that nature. So if me giving somebody a poem and making them feel a certain way or smile, I mean, that's erasing all of that. Like, I'm not saying a bad person's gonna live forever, but let you get into a fight and you're not even a fighting person. Or somebody at the bar in Greensboro, like, they're gonna remember it 5 years from now. They'll remember it. Like, man, that dude with that turquoise tie on, he punched me in my nose, and I can't believe it. Like, and they might have deserved it, but they're gonna remember that thing. I'm not trying to live long in somebody's head like that.
I remember having to talk myself out of someone that was trying to not provoke me, but I could tell the intent. I got that sense that things were not going to go well, and I could tell someone was looking to poke the bear.
How many years ago was that?
Oh God, like 2 years ago.
And you remember it.
Yeah, I remember it.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I remember it. Well, because you know what, and this is one of those things. This is one of those things like striking out. You talked about how like you sleep on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or lack of sleep, I should say. And you're thinking about that. Your mind. And this is where the ego can kind of, play in your favor. You're trying to. Your body is very. It's trying to survive,
Yeah,
right?
every time.
Every time. That's all we're trying to do is we're trying to survive. And you're going to remember things, like you always remember like an argument or something like that, or a negative interaction. Well, your body and your mind are very inherent to that because you're trying to survive and you're thinking that you're going to encounter that situation again.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, here's what I'm getting ready to,
Yep.
And that's what we do. We do it all the time. And yeah, I remember.
And then when you get used to it, if you fight, then it's a whole different thought, bro. It's like, this is what I'm gonna do next. But if you would have knocked that dude out, this is what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And that's just like, man, does that fuel the sense of like, let me do this more? Like bad kid in class. Like bad kid in, I annoyed the teacher. Let me see how much more I can annoy her before I'm suspended. What did the suspended turn to expelled? Does the expelled turn to like?
Oh, he's a comedian. Yeah, Bill Burr said it. He said, "Well, I got that laugh. Let me see if I could get a bigger laugh."
Yeah. Opposed to like you said it, like I didn't do it, and all right, now I'm on survival mode. If I get in this situation again, but if you would have knocked that dude out,
I don't know how that would have gone. I'll be honest with you. I honestly don't know.
It's not good, man. I got into a fight in front of my 3 kids one time in my life.
Oof.
And it was at a park in Durham, and it was horrible. I have a tattoo on my arm right here. It says, it's like the world. It's a tattoo of the world, and it says love. And I got it like 3 days after I got into that fight, and that was kind of my intentions. I'm like, no, you need to be more loving, more caring, more patient, give people grace. Because after I got into that fight, I won the fight, and my son just looked at me different. He just looked at me different. Like my younger son, he thought it was funny. And my daughter, she thought it was funny. Because the dude did deserve it, whatever that even means, to be physically assaulted, which is what I did. As a mature me knows that. But as a young person trying to survive and pride, like my son thought it was so funny. Like, I can't believe. And I'm like, no. Like, I can't have him thinking that this is hilarious. Like, that's not a good thing. Like, I mean, my younger boy thought it was funny, and my older son was kind of like threw off because I just made the dude bleed, and this was a lot. And he just was really, really, really thrown off. And I was teaching at his school at the time. I was a whole middle school teacher, and I got into a fight on a Sunday. My hand was all busted up, and I taught at his school. It just was too much. It was too much going on, and he was on the team at the time. And it's, what happened to your dad's hand? So he's like...
And you had to keep reliving that.
It was stupid. It was so stupid.
So you feel that, like, just based on the conversation, like it was avoidable? Like you could have stepped away, or you could have backed off?
And my son wouldn't have had to be so awkward at practice.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't have had to be around my other coaches with my hand all busted. And then have man, there was nothing that you could have did. It just was too much. I just was disciplined for it, like for like a week. As a grown adult person, I feel like I'm disciplined. I won the fight. But I'm like, have to be disciplined from this by the looks of the faculty, the coaches, the kids. Man, it's not that serious. And then to prove myself, not in regards to me intentionally doing it, but there was a gentleman in Burlington. I was playing basketball before I hurt my knee, and dude, full-fledged, pushed me in the back. I fell on my knees, hit my face on the ground. And hey, y'all, I'm about to leave. And my younger son, who was laughing when he seen me fight, he was so surprised. He's like, Dad, I cannot believe that you just got up and left. Because that dude pushed, no, it's not worth it, son. It's not worth it. I got to speak at Duke on Sunday. I remember last time I got into that fight, I was so embarrassed because my hand was all busted. And I got to speak at Duke on Saturday. I'm not trying to fight this dude on Wednesday, whether I win or not. And I told him when we were driving home, like, I remember how embarrassed I was. Like, I ain't trying to deal with that.
So this was like a willful, like intentional, like he pushed you on purpose.
Oh yeah, he like 100%, just in the intensity of a young person, and I was getting the best of him, talking messed up about basketball. You can't hold me, da 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 da. And he did not like it, and he pushed me in the back, and stood his ground, like, get up, what you gonna do? And I'm like, all right, y'all, I'm out. Somebody else can take my space. No aggression. I'm steaming in the inside, but I'm like, nah, like I'm leaving. And it made it even better because that community center that I avoided the fight in Burlington, me and Jordan, my son, goes there often. And they seen it on the camera that I just walked out. So when I went back 2 weeks ago, the gentleman Zion, he was like, man, Will, I seen you walk out the gym when that guy pushed you. Man, I'm like, thank you for not fighting. And I'm sitting here telling Jordan, like, if I would have fought, Zion would have a whole different point of view of me. And we come here way too often for somebody to have a bad point of view of me. Like, it's not that serious. I'm very comfortable getting pushed in the back for me to just walk in and be like, hey, how's it going, Zion? Opposed to him, like, you're not allowed to come in here anymore, sir, because you fought. It's not worth it. Yeah, it's not worth it. I wish I knew that younger, but I am 38, so better late than never.
That's a very disciplined, and that's a very mature answer.
There's this book that I'm gonna send to you on Messenger. I'm not gonna forget, but it's by a gentleman by the name of Derek Triplett, and it's called "Men Are Built: The 21 Indispensable Qualities Every Man Should Have," and it's a sense of accountability. Like, it makes you question: Am I a man? Am I a good man? Am I so quick to anger? Am I so quick to prove that I need to be respected? You better not talk to me like that. How many times have you heard a man say that to another man? You better respect me, don't talk to me like that. If I have to remind you how to respect me, then what is that going to do after that sentence is spoke? Now I'm challenging you. And for me to have to read those words, I'm like, ooh.
That's like the person that's like getting arrested. It's like, do you know who I am? You know? Doesn't matter. You still broke the law.
You still broke the law, man. You still broke the law. And ain't nothing that you're going to say at this moment that's going to me telling you, y'all, don't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Me saying that to you is not going to change the way that you speak to me.
It diminishes the quality of whatever it was that you had achieved.
Yeah.
You know, it diminishes that. Now that's not saying I might goof up and, slip and that devil might take over.
Oh yeah.
But because it's always there. There's always temptation around every corner. But watching it and like seeing somebody say something like that, it diminishes the quality of whatever respect you had earned up to that moment of being a father, being a whatever, being Mr. Dunphy, the TV producer.
Yeah.
And, if I goof up and, get arrested, whatever, for whatever, I do
All
something
lost.
wrong. And like, do you know who I am? Like, man, someone's going to have a camera and whatever. And that's everything I've done was taken away in that moment.
Yeah.
Whatever respect you had earned was.
Just go. I don't want to have to earn respect that way. I
Yeah.
love from my perspective, my joy, and just me being a kind person and diligent and being a businessman. I got to tell nobody that's trying to fight me to respect me, because clearly, like, we're just not even on the same page. We're just playing basketball.
Yeah.
I'm not even putting myself in the position to take any money from you or to disrespect your wife or to be
Right.
violent towards you. I didn't do any of those things that calls for a man to defend himself.
Because you got your own life, you got your kids and your wife, and you. I don't need to prove to you. You already said, like you said it before. I think it bleeds through in somebody's, presence. You know what I mean? Like your work had shined through immediately. Like even before you started typing, like the fact that you were stepping up and even, doing that.
I love
it. At whatever point in your poetry, level, and then you typed that out, and I was like, oh man. And then we started talking about what was it? Who's the comedian that we started talking about? And I can't.
Oh, I can't think of his name either. But we got into the conversation.
Yeah, we got into the conversation about his as I'm talking about.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, and we started talking about.
Did you watch the thing?
I did not. I need to look it up.
Yes, sir.
And about his childhood and about how his dad had asked. I'll never forget what you told me about how his dad asked him. He played the. Did his dad play the saxophone?
His father played the saxophone.
And his mom had some kind of mental illness, and his dad played the saxophone to keep everything like cool during dinner. And he looked at his son. He said, "The saxophone broke. I need you to tell jokes." And so, like how old is Jim Carrey now?
Jim Carrey is maybe like 11. He's a little baby. He's a kid, man. And it makes it even crazier that everybody looks at Jim as this goofy dude. But he's just like, man, I cannot wait to send it to you and for you to process it and watch it. Because he's like, this character that you see in The Mask and all of these, that was 11-year-old me, like, making my mom feel better. And I'm like, what in the world? Me typing that poem, bro, that's sixth grade me. Processing it. It ain't no difference. Ain't no difference, man. I asked my son, my younger boy Jordan, he's in love with RC cars. He has a business already. It's called J Racers, and he's never gonna let it go because he loves it too much. And so he sets it up at events, and he has kids race his cars at like 50, 60 miles per hour. And I'm like, man, if you stay diligent, you're probably gonna have all type of franchise businesses and all type of RC cars named after you, all type of stuff. Or it's just gonna be a thought that you have for forever. I'm just, man.
And I just remember that, and I remember that I probably reflected on that, like my whole drive home. I thought about Jim Carrey, and
as you should have, because it's crazy because everybody knows who Jim Carrey is, and it came out, that story came out during Robin Williams' tragic event, so it was just like Jim Carrey, like we go through things, like that's what we go through things. And you all as an audience have a hard time seeing it, which makes it even harder for us to go through it. And when I watched that, me and Jordan watched that thing on Jim Carrey like 2 times because that's his favorite actor. And I'm like, man, you talk about you having a hard time in life, son. Look what your favorite actor done. Let's sit back, pop some popcorn. Look what this man done been through.
Yeah. I watched when there was. Here in Greensboro, I had watched the Chris Farley documentary, and that was really tragic. Because that was, I mean, my childhood, like I grew up watching, Chris Farley and Jim Carrey, and it's.
SNL early. They was on SNL big early.
Oh yeah, him and like everybody else that was just like
David Spade.
That.
Yep.
Everybody that like they all blew up in all the movies that they did, and. God, that's what a tragic, all these people that like rose to this.
Are you familiar with the story called The Hero's Journey? So the hero's journey is essentially like life is going to be so great and grand, and then something tragic is going to happen, and like how do you deal with it? And then it kind of goes into the allegory of the cave, which is another one that I'm going to send you. And it's just a lot of philosophical things that like Jim Carrey figured out early. Like it's okay to have a hard time. It's okay for my mom to go to prison. Like it's okay. It's okay to strike out. Like that's what that hero's journey is. It's like, man, some crazy mess is going to happen. While you're on a road trip, tire going to be flat. You don't have a spare, but it's okay because there's a car mechanic place 10 miles up the road. You just got to be diligent enough to get there type thing. Like that's the hero's journey. And then the allegory of the cave part is knowing that everything is going to be okay, and then telling people that, and nobody cares. Like, that's the allegory. Like, knowing not life is about the lesson and the struggle and being disciplined and being determined, and then telling that to the people you love, but watching them still make the dumb mistakes and being okay with it. All right, I'm giving you these things, but you also have to go through your hero's journey. Like, that's the Chris Farley and the Jim Carrey thing. It just makes it more impactful to know, like, man, it's okay to mess up.
Yeah. Oof. God. Yeah. And then you try and, and then you're trying to raise your kids in this, in the best environment possible, right? And, and they have to go through struggle, but they, you think about what Jim Carrey went through, and you're like, oh, I don't want my kid to go through, I don't want my kid to go through that.
I don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
I wanted to go through that. Jordan had a hard time with my divorce. It really, really put a big hole in his heart. And I ask him often, at least once a month, and I've been divorced for 3 years, like, what's the hardest time you've been? He said, man, that really hit me hard, Dad. That really hit me hard. So what if that's the only hard time you ever have in your life? He was just like, that'd be great. I said, no, it won't. You know how weird that will be? For you to be 30 years old and you'd be like, you know what? The hardest time I've ever been to is when my dad got divorced, because that's not you. Like, yes, you were a part of it. You were my kid. You did have a relationship with the person I was married to. But your struggle is my dad? Like, that doesn't even make any sense, sir. And I want you to understand that. Like, I want you to really process that completely. The hardest time in your life is when my dad got divorced. So then what's the hardest time in your life, Jordan? Like, so you really need to be preparing yourself that something crazy gonna happen to you one day, son. Like, don't position yourself where you think that this is the worst thing that's ever gonna happen to you. Because you might get divorced one day. Or, like, Lord forbid, but you might have a kid and might lose a kid. Or you might play basketball one day and your leg might break. Like, there's all type of crazy things that happen in this world that you not necessarily need to be prepared for. But you just need to have some grace and some peace and kindness in your heart. Because if that's the worst thing that happened to you, if you felt like that broke you, man, young man, am I raising a sheep or a wolf? And I kind of, like, we have to remind them, like, man, that's not even, like, we still live in a beautiful house. Like, you used to have a 3.8 GPA. Like, you're playing basketball. Like, what did it deter? Like, what did it deter, sir? Because that wasn't your journey. That was part of my journey. I was holding you through my journey, so you seen it. But my guy, you're going to go through your own. You're going to go through I tell him that all the, man, it sounds like you wishing bad. No, I'm not wishing bad on you. But if that was the worst time as a 7th grader, and you can, like, soak that into your heart, man, something's going to happen that might really send you over the edge, sir. Like, that's what I'm saying. If that was rough, are you preparing yourself for something to be rougher?
That's part of the order and chaos of life. Like, that's just you're not wishing anything bad. That's just what you know will happen.
You know it, bro. When you train these people for fire, you know. You can see look in their eyes like, oh, that dude is a little nervous right now.
Yeah.
But he ain't even know what he's nervous about.
Yeah.
He ain't even walked in.
That's good. He doesn't even know what he's nervous about. Oh, man.
You can see it. I know for a fact, man. I know you be looking at these folks doing their starter fire, and you can see them, like, mentally preparing, and, like, you can see it, like, man, they're a little nervous. You have no idea. Wait till you walk in there. Wait till that flame hits you and the smoke hits you.
But there's even more than, like, you haven't even. That's just the one element of it. You haven't even impacted. You haven't even been, in the firehouse when people, when you got that humility of people talking smack to you about, whatever. Yeah.
Yes, that's like the locker room talk.
Yeah, the locker room talk.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Which there is. I read a psychology book, which there is, like, an art to that, where, like, you talk. And there's a line, of course, but you joke about some hard stuff, but, like, it's kind of they kind of test you, like as the rookie or whatever. Are you tough enough to handle? This is what blue collar jobs all the time are like this. Like you work in a construction site or whatever. Like they talk tough, but it's like, are you tough enough to hang with us?
Yep.
Are
Kobe
you-
mentality.
Yeah.
I'm only asking you to do this to see if this is going to break you.
Yeah. If you ain't tough enough to joke with us, how you going to be tough enough to, shingle a roof or jump in a fire or, frame this thing together?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be some long days, buddy. Like, you better keep up.
I'm preparing you for what may come.
Yeah.
Because it's coming.
And it sucks that you just don't know that, and you're just like, oh man, everyone's looking at me.
Mhm.
Damn,
That's what
I'm
everything.
screwing up.
That's what training. That's what loving your kid, loving your wife. Man, I am such a particular stickler on Jordan. We work on everything: left hand, right hand, hook shot, all the things. And his mom's like, man, y'all at the gym every day. Like, don't y'all ever get tired of going to the gym? I was like, nope. He might be tired of it, but we're going to be at the gym, and we're not even training to go to the NBA. But Jordan plays on the team, and he might not ever do a left hand layup, but when that chance comes, he did 50 reps of it. So it's there. It's like, you know what you're ready for. You know what you're ready for. I couldn't imagine the rigor to be a firefighter, to prepare, to going in all those things, to practicing the outfit. We already heard how heavy the outfit is, and I couldn't imagine the prep work to see, all right, now you're ready to actually do this. I couldn't imagine.
That's one thing, and there's another thing. I was thinking of, Eric Thomas. Have you ever heard of Eric Thomas?
I'm not familiar.
Oh man, he's one of like the motivational speakers.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. He's
the
super
hip hop
intense.
preacher.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, super intense.
Super
yeah,
intense.
yeah, and he, you
I
wanna-
did so you can do.
Yeah,
That's his kind of his outlook. I went through the struggle, and
Yeah.
so you can do that's his
and,
outlook.
I want it as bad as you want to breathe. Stick your head underwater, and what did you think about? Well, I thought about breathing. Okay, if you want to be successful at whatever it is you want to do, that's what you have to do. You have to have one thought in mind. Okay, how bad do you want it? Do you want it as bad as you wanted to breathe in that moment when you couldn't breathe, when you were underwater? And so there's one thing to like pass the grade, and this is where I was going with when you talked about just having that piece of paper graduating when you're at Princeton. This is the thought that goes through: is you have to like constantly keep working on stuff. You have to constantly keep typing. You have to constantly keep doing whatever it is. Going through the reps, even if it's just watching YouTube. You said you listen to like different poets and stuff like that. There's all these different things you have to do to hit that. If you want to be that top dog or whatever, you want to do and look professional and look good doing it.
Oh yes.
And you have to do all that. You have to put all that prep work in. Yeah, it's just getting that piece of paper that says I'm a firefighter. That's just like, I don't want to say, that's like the high school degree of putting in the years of experience and listening and learning. That's a whole nother realm.
And that's why you got all them pictures. Like, yeah, I don't even think I've seen your firefighter certificate, but I've seen all that, the pictures of, no, this is the experience.
Yeah, that's just a resume. That's in a resume somewhere to hand somebody that says, all right, here, I'm good enough to be in this class or be part of this,
Oh yeah.
job.
But those experiments, that's not, the experience isn't on their resume. That's the best part. That's as soon as I noticed the smoggy picture and all of that. It makes it real.
It takes, what's so funny, it was something that it was a program that we did over here, and it was, I can't remember, I landed on it, just by accident. But they were doing some training in an old building, and they had, a smoked out room, and it was a fire alarm, and then it turned into a structure fire. But it was a whole training scenario that they went through, and I followed them, like from the beginning of the truck to like going in. And I was working as a TV, so it was a lot of fun actually, because I got to put in a lot of work. Like I got to do it, here, but watching Greensboro Fire do their thing. And I can't remember what it was, just naturally, like they were taking the hose out, and I picked up the hose, and the battalion chief, he came to me later, he's like, you work somewhere? And I said, yeah, why? He's like, you you work in, but he's like, yeah, I could tell. He said there was something about the way you grabbed the hose that was just so, like, it was natural. It just, yeah, I was just shucking the hose out, just helping the guys out, And he's like, there's something about the way you grab the hose. I don't know. I think it's just being, what do you call it, like osmosis or just motion or like doing it or just, like you said, you weren't used to it.
It felt natural.
It felt natural, yeah. It was just a part of, being around it and just doing it over and over again. And, like you said, you weren't used to the keyboard or the keys,
Yep.
right? But you're used to this one.
Yep.
Just being a part of that. That's what it is.
Serendipitous, as they say.
Yeah,
It's just like,
serendipitous.
yep, I'm supposed to be here, and it's that epiphany moment, like, oh, whoa, I actually like this. I can do this again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was one of those things like that. What did you call it? The presence. I don't have to tell you who I am.
Mhm.
Like it'll just. That's one of the things that I guess that's one of the things I have to instill in myself. You don't have to tell anybody who you are will bleed through.
It will
People
bleed through.
people will see it. It's like if you go to a job interview that you want, people will notice within like the first like whatever it is, whoever they're picking, they're going to notice within like the first 10 seconds whether or not they want you.
Yep.
When you walk in the room, how you shake their hand, your eye contact, you just who you are, they're just like,
Now you're just convincing them otherwise.
yeah.
That's it. You may talk yourself out the job.
You talk yourself out the shot.
Yeah, you might- yeah.
Oh, people do that a lot. We've watched, I can't remember what it was. We were watching, how was that? Or we went to New Jersey and we were sitting around watching, I can't remember, it was like Live PD or something like that. And people will talk themselves into being in cuffs.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Instead of just, like, literally the cop just told them, like, hey, all right, man, we're just checking on you. We just got a couple calls, no big deal. Like, we were just making sure you're all right, And then, like, literally, he just talked himself, just kept talking. We're just like, and you're watching it, just as like, oh, shut up, just shut up and
shut your
All
mouth.
right, cool, man. See you later. Thank you,
Mhm.
thank you for your like, keep going. He really doesn't want anything to do with you. Like, just stop talking.
I mean, I remember as a kid growing up where I grew up in Grand Rapids, police come down the road, and as a teenager, people would be running, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna run too. And then as again, discernment and getting a little wiser,
Mm-hmm.
like kids start running, I'm walking.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin like, why ain't you run? Bro, I'm going to the store.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what you doing, young man? I'm going to the store. All right. Like, y'all sitting here running, so every single time they come up on the road, they're looking because they're running for a reason. They're running for a reason. They might be running for a reason. No, we're going to the store, man. We live right here. I'm not going to put myself in a position to have to be like gawked at or looked at. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when people are, when you're driving down the road and like you see a cop, everybody just hits their brakes. I'm like, just, if you weren't doing it, like if I'm speeding and he got me, you got me.
You
Like,
got me.
You got me, dude. Like that's good job hiding.
I drive a red Challenger, and folks, when I first got that car, they was just like, man, you're about to get so many. I have not got one speeding ticket in my car, and I'm not saying I don't speed,
Right.
But I don't speed, but I do drive over the speed limit, just like everybody else. If you're driving a freaking slug bug, you're going to drive over the limit.
Right.
And I got put over one time, and I was going maybe 10 miles over. I just got my car. And the officer, man, you're going a little over. Is there a reason? And I said, man, I just got this car like a month ago. Wouldn't you be driving a little bit faster if you did? And the officer couldn't do nothing but laugh. He's like, man, well, make sure you just slow down. He didn't give me no ticket or nothing because I was just being honest. Like, I
That's
just
funny.
got this. Man, once you speed a little bit, like it was nobody in front of me.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't help it.
Yeah. That's funny. I would too. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm going like, you can go like a reasonable amount over. I think like 5, 10. I think once you go like 15, 20, you're asking for trouble.
You're doing too much.
Yeah, you're doing too much. But they always expect you to be like 5 or 10 over.
And from the science of speeding, it doesn't get you there any faster. Like, because miles per hour is a real life thing. There's a science behind how fast you're supposed to drive and the distance it takes you to get there. It says 3 hours and 5 minutes at 65 miles per hour to get from here to Charlotte. If you drove 10 minutes faster, you probably only got there 5 minutes faster because there's still so much traffic in front of you, stop and go. So you just risked so much to only get there 5 minutes faster. Like it can't be disproven either. Just because you drive faster doesn't mean you get to the space faster, because there's still the same obstacles. And it's like you're just being risky.
Yeah.
Where's the discipline? Like
Yeah.
where's
Or the accountability.
yeah, where's the accountability?
Because then people start I've been pulled over twice, and I really try not to say a word. Because I just remember we watched Cops as a kid, and like, you know, everything you say and do will be. My mom loved it. She loved watching Cops, and like everything you say and do will. I don't say like, yep, here you go. Here's my, yes sir. There you go.
Crazy what the memory does. As soon as you said Bad Boys, you know it popped up in my head. You already know. As soon as somebody's watching this, you already. As soon as she said we used to watch Bad Boys, as soon as you said that, it popped up in my head. Why was it the most Jamaican voice song sound? Why is it?
I don't know. You know what's funny is I didn't even know that was him until like a couple years ago. I didn't even know that was his song, because I just always I never heard him like through.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Nothing Jamaican about the show at all.
No, nothing at all.
I hope he got some royalties for that.
I just remember the biggest thing I remember about that show when we watched it as kids. I just remember like it was always in a trailer park, and there was always a dude without a shirt on. Like
Always.
Every time.
That was TikTok before TikTok. That's social media before social media.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy those type of free thinkers, like the Fifth Wheel and those.
The Fifth Wheel.
Come on, man! I unlocked that memory. The fifth, this bare minimum production quality, but the engagement is there. Like an iPhone has better quality than those TV shows. Back in the day, and we used to be so engaged. And there's no difference now. Like the Pop the Balloon that's super popular. That's the Fifth Wheel. It's the exact same stuff.
YouTube, cat playing the piano.
Yep.
It was done with like, what the heck technology did we have at the time? We didn't even have the phone camera then.
No, we did not. It was
Or it might have been a flip phone camera, I don't know, but it was like so great. It's probably like a 240p, you know.
Or a digital camera with an SD card.
Yeah, oh God, those things were, I remember I used to carry one because I was into photography and, you know, videoing. And
horrible quality videos.
Oh yeah.
Horrible quality
compared
video.
to now.
But the camera pictures was really nice. But you watching those videos back on those little bitty screens, and you were so proud of it. Oh my gosh! Shout out to back in the day.
Yeah. But yeah, there was always. I guess it's about. I don't know there's like a pizzazz about it, you know. Whatever it is, the cat playing the piano, or we were talking about like the social interaction. And now it's crazy because people have gotten so like I hate the word influencer. I don't know why we didn't pick a different word.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
I wish we just picked a different word for those type, because half of them aren't really like influencing anything.
No.
Half of them are just like sometimes they're just funny. Like it's just fun to watch.
It is fun to watch.
Within reason, but like, oh man, but like they will, you know, it'll literally just be them. Like they will be the only ones doing it, and they'll play like 4 or 5 different characters. But what do they call it? You just kind of like get into the story or get into the characterization, and like you don't even care that like they're literally in their house.
Chilling at the crib, making folks laugh. I had a great conversation the other day. Well, I enjoy TikTok and YouTube, just as everybody else in the world, to make me laugh. But I don't spend too much time on it. And the only reason why I can't, because it's hard for me to justify, like making somebody money. Like it's really hard for me to justify. Like every TikTok video I'm watching, I know I'm making somebody some money. And I can't sit there and make somebody money all day.
Oh, because they're getting the hits.
Because they're getting the hits.
Yeah.
So I can't sit there and make somebody money all day. Like it makes me feel insecure about the money that I'm not making, when I know if I'm watching this person's video, I just made them some money. It doesn't necessarily like equate to view money right then and there, but eventually it will. So I don't necessarily want to make deposits on your account when I'm not making deposits on mine. And I have such a hard time. And I'm not saying I don't watch it, but eventually my mind is like, oh, bro, you ain't made no money. You have not positioned yourself to provide, but you're just helping. You're helping somebody provide, and you don't want to sit there.
That's amazing.
You don't want to be on that end of sitting here watching TikTok, and you're sitting here cashing somebody out these views, $5, $1, When you do that for an hour, you done paid maybe 200 people with a view, And that hour, you didn't even make 15, you didn't even make the minimum wage. You didn't even make the minimum wage. So how dare you feel worthy to even do that? And I say that, I promise you, that's a giant philosophy I have. And I say that to kids all the time. Not to take away from your entertainment. Be entertained, watch it. You deserve it. Cool, school is hard. But how much money are you trying to make somebody tonight? Just really question that. Just how much money are you trying to make somebody?
That's a really good. Now that's a very capitalistic thought, right there.
Oh, yes.
Now, there's nothing wrong because we live in a capitalistic society, right? So.
It's the truth. Yeah,
It is what it
that
is.
hour, that's a DoorDash. If I was a DoorDasher or an Uber ride, and I don't do any of that stuff, but if I did, man, that took away from $50 Uber ride or something like that. Like, I can't sit there and do it. That could be me cleaning my typewriters. That can be me playing rock, paper, scissors with Jordan. Like, and I do watch TikTok. Everybody that's watching this, I do watch TikTok and Tinder, and I mean, not Tinder, like all the things. I do watch it. But I also, like, hold on. I'm not about to sit here and make this person that much money. Not from me.
Do you put a timer on yourself, or is it just like you're like a quarterback, the clock goes off in your head and I got to run?
I'm not about to watch this for too long. When
Yeah.
I'd rather watch like Sports Center or the Jamie Foxx show or like actually watch something. Like, I would rather actually watch something instead of just like I'd rather play a cell phone game or something. Like, I'd rather do that because I really be thinking about it. Like, some folks make so much money off of TikTok as they deserve because they put their time into it. But I don't want to be the person of the reason why.
Right.
And this may sound very naive because I also have a TikTok. Like, watch my videos, but don't watch my videos all day. I'm saying the same. No, because no, make your own poetry videos. Be inspired. Be influenced to do it yourself also.
Damn. Yeah, that's fun. And people get like I know like the older generation will get like, mad at, some of the younger folks that are. There's older folks on there too that are making an impact, and a positive impact too. There's a guy. It's called like Dad Stuff or whatever.
Oh yeah, he's so good.
I can't remember what it's called, but he does something with like, changing your oil or like checking the battery or like how to change it. I don't know.
He sounds so wholesome too. He sounds like a nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, and it's awesome. And it was literally it was to raise money for his daughter's like brain, because she had a brain injury.
Stuff like that's important.
Traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, stuff like that's important. Watch it. That's a resource. That's not even a tick. There's nothing entertaining about that. Buddy's teaching you how to change your oil. Run his views up, because that's a resource.
Yeah, and so this is like something that, like, everybody gets like, so like, oh, the algorithm is bad, but like, it can be good. Like, you just change your, your outlook on it.
Yep.
Like, if you go in there and just type in like poetry, if you want to be a good poet, good writer, you can literally you can find anything on YouTube, TikTok, all this stuff. You type in like best writer, top writer, like Google, like top writer. I'm like, oh, let me look him up on YouTube. Shoot, it'll pop up for you on Google. Like,
when parents complain, when parents get to complain about their kids and like all they want to do is use their phone and they don't understand how smart it can make it and they don't understand the resources that they have and they just this generation and they get all into that rant. It makes me laugh so much. I'm like, boy, you had an encyclopedia in your closet. You had an encyclopedia collection. Like, you literally went to the elementary school library or middle school library, all the access that they have, you had it too. And you didn't necessarily dive into the encyclopedia to learn everything about whales, because whales was your favorite. Like, leave these kids alone. Yes, they pay attention to it, maybe a little bit too much, but we also did not go to the school library and just dive into everything that we could to make ourselves smarter. We didn't do that, man.
Oh yeah, no, gosh, no. Like, but yeah, you have that, that ability, and it comes from, just disciplining yourself or whatever. Either put a timer on it or, just invest time into, I guess, the right things. Like, you can literally, the algorithm is you.
The algorithm is you. Whatever you want to look up.
Yeah.
If you want to look up how to cook, somebody can be a horrible cook, and in 3 months, man, they can be so good at cooking because of TikTok.
Like, the whole point of this device, like the algorithm or whatever, like what Facebook wants to generate, is whatever you give it.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever you like, or like it'll track whatever video you're watching. It's like, oh, well, he likes, comedy.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me give
So
him comedy.
let me give him more comedy. I'm gonna throw in some other things too, but let me give him more comedy. And shoot, you'll be sitting there if you keep liking it and you keep watching it. Wait a minute, let me go back. Let me send this to like 5 friends.
It's going to keep giving it to you.
It's going to keep giving it to you. If if you like to look at cars, it's going to keep giving you cars.
Even from a conversational standpoint, have you realized that too?
Oh, it picks up.
It picks up.
There's people that you mention that will come up on here that'll be like, oh, suggested friends. I'm like, I mentioned that person like yesterday.
Yep.
And it'll be the first person that pops up on your Facebook, whatever it is, suggested friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stuff like that.
When people complain about it, and I'm like, man, there's no difference than when folks used to go to the bar and they didn't have to order their drink anymore. Like, the bartender just got used to you. Like, this is it. Like, this
Usual?
Yep.
Usual, all
No.
right.
And you were not weirded out by it.
No, you weren't.
You
no.
felt accommodated and welcomed.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what they try to do with the algorithm.
Yeah.
You need to feel accommodated and like it's here for you. Oh, you want the usual? Oh, actually, I'm going to switch it up on you this time.
It's business.
Yep.
It's not personal. It's just business.
It's just business.
That's all it is. And they just got really, really good at it. And they're getting better, this AI stuff.
I like AI too. But folks ask me from a writer standpoint, how do I feel about AI? And I'm like, I love it because not everyone is a poet and people need to say kind words. I tell people all the time when I'm at the market or events, whatever, like, man, I wish I could write a poem like this. Boy, you better ask AI to write your wife a poem and text it to her right now. But I've done that so many times where men are like, oh man, I want you to write a poem for my wife. I'm gonna do that. But I also download AI and ask AI, write a loving poem to my wife and text that to your wife. Oh, she's gonna know it came from AI. It doesn't matter. It's the consideration, it's the thought. It's the fact that you thought of her, man. And give her the one that I personally wrote her. And then next week, while you're driving to work, send her another AI poem. Because you said you can't write poems. But it's not about you writing it, it's the sentiment. You don't write those homework cards you buy her, but she likes those
True.
too.
Yeah.
Like, don't discredit the effort. It's the same thing, man.
Damn. That's all. It's funny. There's a video. There's this girl. She does. I don't know what it is. She actually wrote the music to it too, and but what she does is she plays this music that she wrote, and then she has this it's a clear cup with black coffee in it, and then she'll pour the creamer into it, and it'll reveal the
yeah,
words
I like
on the
that. That's so
outside.
cute. I like that.
And it's so cool because it'll be like the person that sent you this wants you to know that, like, you have beautiful eyes, or like there'll be raunchy stuff that she put on there too, like you have a nice butt or something like that. And I'll send stuff like that to my wife, and like she'll think it's hysterical because it's just funny. We're like sharing the moment of whatever this girl wrote,
yeah.
or like, oh, you thought.
You thought of her. I
Yeah.
like the one where they drop the sheet over the highway.
Yeah.
And it has the words written on that. I like that one too.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I'd have to. But there's something. Yeah, that's one of the positive things about the social media or the algorithm or whatever, is like there's a lot of really cool people doing really
cool things, man. Amazing things.
Yeah.
I asked my aunt growing up. Actually, the aunt I grew up with, my apologies. It made me sad to her answer. I was like, man, so many people can sing and rap and dance. Like, when you was growing up, did you have any friends that can sing? She was like, we ain't think about that. And she meant it. Like, and I'm diving into, like, hold on. All in middle school, all in high school, like, you never had one friend that just could sing really well. She said if they did, they'd sing in church. Like, we hear them sing in church, but they ain't really think about being famous singers. And I'm like, man, that's wild. Because any kid that can sing now, in their mind, they're the next Taylor Swift or Beyonce. They're not just trying to sing in church. And that's crazy, like, the mind shift. Like, I'm pretty sure it was kids that can sing so good, and they were just singing on Sundays. And just schoolwork throughout. But now, that same singing kid on Sunday, like, they're like, all right, what album can I do, or who's my inspiration? And like, I enjoy it. I enjoy the difference.
Yeah, no, it's really cool because like they'll be, even for just those likes, or like maybe they won't go on American Idol or whatever, but like there are, I can't remember, it's like a husband who's just like, hey, sing, and whatever, and like she's cooking, or like her kid will be like, hey, can you know, sing me this? And like she's literally cooking. She stops like in the middle of what she's doing. She belts out this
Oh, wow.
beautiful like, and you're just like, and it's just like the Whitney Houston. She's just like,
People are talented.
and I'm just like, and like that's a tough, you know, the Whitney, like, oof, that's a, but she like nails it, and she's like, God dang, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny how like it's funny how that has shifted. Like I'm thinking about like the, you know, the street corner, you know, folks that just, you know.
Just enjoy it with a tip jar right there.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, just with a tip
Man,
jar.
that internet, man, that made that tip jar, like, man, that internet made that tip jar a whole different ball game.
Mhm.
Especially if people are like on the corner as well as streaming it,
Mhm.
like they're sitting there double dipping. And ain't nothing wrong with it. You get all the money.
Yeah.
From a capitalistic standpoint, I'm all for it. A gentleman called me a capitalist one day, and I enjoyed it. He was like, "How do you feel about promoting capitalism?" I'm like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? He said, because you're selling your poems for money and you're making a profit off of it. How do you feel about being a venture capitalist? Like, you are hurting the system. I said, you know what, sir? I'm a father of 3 kids. I came from a little bit of nothing. And if I'm able to sit here and my thoughts provide for me, then I enjoy it.
So we've had this like, I don't understand. Like maybe we could dive into this a little bit, but like we've had kind of this like war on like capitalism and it's like its evils, and I just have an issue with it because it's not capitalism itself, it's humanism.
Mm-hmm.
It's what humanism does to whatever system it's going to do. There's always going to be greed or power grab in whatever system you.
And when you have a currency, there has to be a way to get the currency.
Right.
Simple as that. Like, I have to have a way to get the thing to put the stuff in the house. And if it's swinging a hammer or it's building a house, like, that's how they're providing. And there's no difference. Like, I agree, it's not capitalism.
Right.
It's humanism. Like, I need this.
Now, so the other interesting thing is like that dollar amount is not always, but it equates to, you know, I've worked for this money and you were providing this service. You know what? This is pretty damn, I am going to pay you my hard-earned work. It could go to so many other things. It could go to an NBA jersey that we were talking about earlier. It could go to, you know, whatever, buying the latest phone. But I am choosing to invest in you. I am choosing my hard-earned work with a boss that is a pain in the butt, that I go to early, I get fussed at, but I try and provide for, you know, my kids or whoever, but I'm choosing to invest in you.
Yeah. I love that. I love that a lot. This is humanism. Oh, yes. Josephus' event starts at 7.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Is it all right if we?
Yeah. Do you want to do like one more?
I would love to do
You
that.
know what? I do have a word for you.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
One more word. I hate that you know, I would love for this conversation to go on forever, but.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. It's an honor
let's-
to be here, and I'm glad you asked me. It's a great start for this. Solace. My friend, he gave me the word solace. I said, peace is a lie. A story told of old days with port sits and the clouds kept being right over us. These days rush and want too much, and the sky stays asking, grabbing at the peace in us that holds peace, the worth in us. Peace is a lie, again lost in us searching for other things besides ourself. Solace is just simply being you.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That was fun.
Man, this has been awesome. If you haven't already,
This has been great, man.
check out his your Instagram, Endless Will, your YouTube, your TikTok,
My website.
website. There's all kinds of stuff on the website. You can get the books.
Yep.
Write it, learn it, let it grow. All the things. Check them out. There's so much depth to this. I love this. I love the fact that I've had you on the program, that we've gotten to interact. I would love for you to get a program here for $125 a year. You can get your own program on our channel.
That's it?
Yep, $125 a year, 2 half-hour time slots a week.
Wow, I would definitely consider that highly.
Yeah, and you too could get your own program.
Yeah, I would definitely consider that highly, as you should. Everybody should have a platform that's respected and give them a chance to get their work out. And yeah, why not? Please check me out, www.endlesswill.com. If you are a fan of poetry, you would like my work. If you are just getting into poetry or want to introduce your kids or your family members to poetry, I'm going to leave you all with an assignment. Look up Rudyard Kipling, If. It's a phenomenal poem, and I ask you to rewrite that poem. Have your kids rewrite that poem for themselves. It's a cause and effect poem. If you do this, then this will happen. So I'm asking you, read that Rudyard Kipling, If, and define for yourself, if you do this, then what's going to happen from you following suit. So I appreciate y'all so much.
That's freaking awesome. Thank you so much for being on. This is amazing, man.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. This is perfect.
Collecting and gathering and keeping to myself, I wonder, when I need help, who will be there for me? Life lived in the empty. Agreed.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
You gave me the word exertion. I said tired is like all of our energy being empty, and after still going some more, I wonder, a thought-filled thinking, can a man really rest? Is the reward in earning peace, or is each minute spent meant to work and mend what broke? And tired is like giving all you have for them.